And we are live with another episode of the Keeg Talks. Today, the Keeg is talking Jurassic World Dominion. I am your host, Dimitri Pereira, and I'm not going to do this alone. I got two awesome guests with me today. If you're watching the live stream, you can see exactly who our guests are. And if you're watching the live stream, that's wherever you get your Keeg live streams from. Twitch.tv/The Keeg Show, Volume.com/The Keeg Show, or YouTube.com/The Keeg Show. We are triple streaming because that sounds kind of cool, right? Like triple streaming. It's just like, sounds dynamic. We're streaming to 3 different platforms. But if you can't see us and you can't see our lovely faces, then you're listening to the podcast. And that's wherever you get your podcast from. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. We stream. We're a live stream. We're a podcast. But the next 2 hours, we're going to be talking about Jurassic World Dominion, whether you can see us or not. My guests for today, we got Matthew Morey. He's been my co-host for the Obi-Wan Kenobi After Show, and he's here to talk about dinosaurs this time. Matthew, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about dinosaurs. We're like space, like futuristic normally. Now we're going like way back in time, you know?
Yeah.
Dinosaurs.
Were you a big dinosaur fan when you were a kid?
I mean, as big as any other kid is, you know?
Oh, not
like
bigger?
the phases you go through, you know? Like,
yeah.
3, 4, 5 years old, you're like, dinosaurs, that's all I want to think about all day. So, yeah. I was into it then, just like anybody else, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Into it, sure.
I don't know whether We'll talk about this. But let me introduce my next guest. We got Nathan Cook himself, the Favoring Wind. Nathan?
Rawr.
Are you a dinosaur fan?
And I grew up on dinosaurs. I appreciate dinosaurs very much. I think dinosaurs are probably among the best movie monsters can be.
Uh-huh.
So, and who is not enamored by a giant dinosaur skeleton at a museum? That's about as cool as it gets.
Right. I was a big dinosaur fan when I was a kid, and I guess I still am. Every so often I'll be like, because they're always discovering new dinosaurs, like in real life. And so I'm like, there are names I don't recognize, but I look them up and I'm like, oh shit, this is new stuff. Every so often. I don't know if you guys do that.
Sometimes they'll show up on like the news feeds, like it'll go trending on Twitter, like, well, how this new thing was discovered in, northern Mongolia or in, South Dakota. And you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That looks awesome.
And it'll be like, sometimes it'll be like cool names. Like, I didn't even know a Dreadnoughtus was a thing. They were like,
Yeah.
now that's the biggest animal ever. You know?
That is a bitchin' name, man.
That was one of the long necks in this movie. Jurassic World Dominion was like a Dreadnoughtus. And it's like, cool. Because I think Star Wars has a Dreadnought, right?
It's the type of ship.
Yeah.
Originally, so that's where they got the name, I think.
I'm sure it has a Latin root, right? There has to be... It has to mean something in Latin, right?
An acoustic guitar size is Dreadnought also. They have it's the biggest one.
Oh, okay.
It's a 20th century battleship type. That's just large guns, very fast moving. And I think that a lot of things get nicknamed after that, like size and impressiveness.
Okay. Point is that like now they're naming dinosaurs after battleships and stuff, which is interesting. It used to be like just old Latin words, terrible lizard and lizard king and all that stuff. And now it's like, we're going to name it after the kids from Stranger Things, you know? This is a Dustinosaurus, you know? They've run out of names. But no. Did you guys, how old? Well, no, I don't want to date you guys. Did you guys watch Jurassic Park as a kid?
Yeah, a lot.
Yes, I did.
I find it interesting people who didn't do that and then they watch it as adults. Do you guys feel like it's the same feeling? so on Stream Lounge, Matt and I watched Jurassic Park 1, and then Nathan and I watched Jurassic Park 3. And then I watched Jurassic Park 2 with Julianne's movies. She had never seen Jurassic Park, and then we watched Jurassic Park 2. So, like, all 3 times it was really interesting watching it with you guys and then also her. Do you guys feel like it's the same sense of wonder? I think the first one still holds up.
The first one's a pretty like objectively magnificent like sci-fi film, action film, soft horror, or not even soft horror, but like, you know, family-friendly horror.
Yeah.
And it's so balanced as an ensemble film. It's got such a clean and direct story. And then I think anyone can approach that movie and like get the right experience out of it. But for the other movies, it really reveals like, okay, what does somebody want to come to the franchise with? Are they disappointed in the dinosaur action, or are they more disappointed by the characters? Are they concentrating on the visuals? Are they concentrating on the humor? Because it's not to say any of the other movies are like bad, but they're not. They don't have the perfect sense of balance that first one does. So you get to see what people's priorities are with how they respond to each one.
I never thought about it that way, cause the first one is the perfect one, and even though like I've said it before, like Jurassic Park 2 is like my favorite, Lost World, and I'm not saying it's the best one, but it's my favorite. And you're kind of right, Nathan, that like each one is just a different kind of mix of ingredients, like just a different ratio.
Yeah.
The first one's the perfect recipe there.
Yeah.
Matt, do you agree?
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. The first one is like, it's just a classic, right? And to go back to your question, I did kind of grow up with the first one. I was old enough to remember the marketing and wanting to go see it in the movie theater. I was maybe, how old was I when it came out? I don't know, like 6, 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, nah. They tried to persuade me not to see it. Like, oh, there's kids young enough say they can go see it and they get terrified, whatever. I was like, I don't care. But I did not win that battle. Did not get to see it in theaters. But I do remember my parents bought it the day it came out on VHS.
Okay.
And I remember it came in like this really super glossy finish, like the box, the VHS box, and like you get fingerprints all over it. I was so disappointed. I got my finger, like this is just like a memory. I haven't thought about this in so long. And putting it in and loving it, you know, I loved every minute of it. And I think, yeah, it holds up great. The first one is a classic, and that's the only time I ever really felt that way about any of these movies. They kind of lost their, well, all of them, even the ones I like, kind of lost their excitement, or just that. I just never had that feeling again after that. Okay.
I can understand it not being able to compete with the first one, but like, I mean, let's be honest. We all love to complain, and people online love to complain, and you'll get hot takes being like, they should have ended after the first one, just never should have made any sequels. There's that hot take. I've heard a hot take on TikTok just being like, they're all cash grabs after the first one, you know.
Every movie's a cash grab.
Right.
Who cares?
Right. Unless it's, I mean, what movie isn't a cash grab?
Unless you're making a $2 million, like max budget, $2 million passion project that like only gets shown at Cannes, and you're not expecting any audience. Like that's the only thing that's not a cash grab. But then the people who buy it and distribute it somewhere else, it's a cash grab for them. But like in its conception, no studio film is ever not a cash grab. It's like that's the whole point. It's really, the question is it junk food, or did they try to cash grab you with like a good meal with, you know, vitamins and the full calories and all that?
Right.
Is it empty calories?
Sorry. Nathan just disappeared, but that's not your fault.
Oh,
it's not your fault. It's my fault. I was messing with things. Sorry, give me one quick sec. There we go. All right. I get what you mean. People always think like you have to choose flash or substance, but like the first Jurassic Park was both.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think makes for a really great box office film. Like not all, but a lot of the Marvel movies, we all agree, like, oh, there's things to look at that's just a bunch of noise and fun, but there's also things where it's like, oh, I could really dig my teeth into that character. And I think most box office films, that's the balance you want to find. You want to find the mix between, Jaws attacking the ship and sitting in the boat and listening to the people have an interesting conversation. And that's every box office film that rides that line perfectly. That's where the real classics appear.
Right. I think it's super cynical when people say that movies have to they're either good or they're profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's this level of like, what are you looking for? Are you just purposely being a contrarian?
I mean, and we've got contradictions to that this summer alone, because Top Gun is good, and like we have Top Gun Maverick coming out right now, good and profitable.
I mean, I do think it's good. I would give it a 9 out of 10. We didn't do an episode on it, but it is really good. Would it even break my top 100 movies of all time?
No. But I mean, like, a movie can be, but like, I'm just saying, like, you can show here's this obvious balance of like, hey, a movie everyone is agreeing is well made and entertaining and has substance, and also everyone is going to see and it's making money. And it's meant to make money. It wasn't meant to be an indie film.
Right. As opposed to, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which,
they didn't expect it to make money.
Yeah. And it's making money relative to its budget, right?
Right.
And it's commercially and critically successful. Matt, are you a believer in like things can either be good or profitable?
Well, I think they can be both. Did
Matt cut out?
Yeah, I've got a frozen Matt screen.
Right?
Okay, Matt did freeze.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now. What were you saying?
I said they can be both. They could be neither. I mean,
right.
There's no reason to think it has to be one or the other. It's false dichotomy. That's I'm not into that. It could be good and profitable. I mean, certainly we've had movies in the past. Last Jedi, I love that movie. I think it's good and it was very profitable. So, I mean, we get that stuff. So,
right. I think it's weird when people think that, oh, it made money, it's a sellout, essentially. It's not art if it makes money. Again, a weird way of looking at the world.
And it's not something that really holds up under any kind of scrutiny, under any industry. It's like, okay, I guess I think people like look at things like it's like junk food and fast food, where it's like, oh, this only can make money because it's low quality, it's fast made, it's whatever. And you're like, okay, but like, what about your favorite music? Like, look at all of the top selling albums ever. How many of them would you pull out and go like, this only made money because it was easy to play on the radio? It's like, no, a lot of them are incredibly good. The vast majority of top selling albums are incredibly good.
Right.
That's why they sold so much. Things become profitable not just because they are initially appealing. Like I did a video recently, and I might talk about this more. Like things initially start making money because they're appealing, like a big opening weekend or something like that. That's because people are interested in this idea. So the idea alone is profitable. But when things keep making money, when we keep coming to the theater for a second viewing or a third viewing, when you tell your grandparents and your aunts and uncles, hey, you guys got to go check out this movie, so they go see it and they give it a good third weekend and make the movie legitimately profitable. That wasn't because it was just, blanketly appealing. It's because there was a quality there that got people talking and revisiting it. That's quality.
You feel like Avatar falls in that?
I think Avatar had a very particular type of quality that a lot of us forget because it's been so long since it was in theaters.
Yeah.
And that was the uniqueness of its theatrical experience. That 3D was flawless. The music was so good in that surround sound. That was a movie designed to get you back to the theater over and over again. And we were at the peak of the recession at that point. So it was this ultimate escapism. And everyone forgets to contextualize that within the timeline of the recession.
That's
that
fair.
we were very not depressed, but like people weren't doing great and had been about a year and a half into not doing great, and then that movie came out. So
yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Also, Gen Z forgets about that because Avatar did not affect Gen Z.
Yeah, and nor did the recession. A lot of them were like toddlers.
Yeah.
Not toddlers, but they were little kids when the recession happened. They have no concept of suddenly not being able to do all of the things that that we were all regularly doing in 2005 and 2006, and then suddenly 2008 and 2009 happened, and it all fell out for a little while.
And 2011 was Avatar.
2009. So a year into the recession, it was
2009.
Avatar was 2009.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Oh yeah, it was 2009. Oh wow. When it comes to Jurassic World, and after Jurassic Park 3 comes out, they take some time off. Then they do Jurassic World. Then they do Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and now we have Dominion. Let's talk about Dominion, and then we will break it all down. Let's talk about right before it. Let's talk about Fallen Kingdom. I know Matthew has some takes on Fallen Kingdom. I got some takes. Nathan, I know, has to have some takes.
Yeah.
Matthew, what are your takes on Fallen Kingdom?
Whatever you just asked.
What are your takes on Fallen Kingdom?
Well, I didn't see Fallen Kingdom until the night before I went to go see Dominion because
that's right. That's wild.
I heard it was bad. You know,
that was probably for me.
Great. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. I'm not in a hurry to go see it. Then I knew we were gonna go see Dominion, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just watch Fallen Kingdom really quick. And I loved it, man, because like it was, a lot of the trailer, like the stuff in the trailer, was like the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
and like a lot of it was left out. And I was like, oh wow. And then like Dino Heart, whatever.
Matt, you broke up. Is there some up with your internet connection or something? Or?
Yeah, I usually don't have issues, but today
you wanna restart it, and then I'll just talk to Nathan. Is there a way to fix it, you think?
Yeah, I can just come out and come back in and we'll see what's going on.
All right. The framing on the live stream will be weird right now, but we'll continue with this. Nathan, did you like Fallen Kingdom?
Okay. So like I don't like it, but I don't hate it. It's my opinions on Fallen Kingdom are like okay, there's a lot of good here. I have a lot of each time I want to like be critical of these movies, I go, oh, but it's really fun when it's fun. So like watching the smaller it's not the Velociraptor, the Indominus Raptor, the Indoraptor hunting everybody in the mansion. Awesome. They're like climbing on the roof and stuff like that. Amazing. All of the stuff on the island at the beginning. So much fun. There's a lot to enjoy there. And I thought that, again, it was a movie with neat ideas. Like, oh, we're going to talk about cloning. This is really cool. We're going to try to talk about arms dealing with the dinosaurs. This is really cool. And my criticisms are much more like that. I feel like the movie got like they came up with all these really neat ideas, and they're like, okay, cool, first draft of it, we're out the door. Because my criticisms are always things like the dialogue being just a bit too on the nose everywhere, or that like, hey, that scene, you gave me 3 interactions where I could have just gotten 1 interaction and gotten all that information.
Yeah.
There like internal logic falls apart a few too many times, and I don't have a problem with internal logic falling apart some, but it falls apart a lot. in different places. I'm like, okay, just it didn't need to be this complicated. But I think my big thing with that movie is just how it's not campy dialogue. It's just that how on the nose the dialogue is where I get my most distracted. And that was a similar thing into this more recent movie. But I don't think we give Fallen Kingdom enough credit for trying to take the genre back into, or trying to like lean into the horror parts of Jurassic Park. Because I think that was a good choice. I think it was a fun choice to say we're going to make Jurassic Park the stuck in the house horror movie.
But you didn't think Jurassic World was horror enough?
No, I think they're all different types of horror. I just thought it was a cool choice because like usually it would be like, let's have horror moments and then get like the adventure film. I was like, okay, this is a neat choice, and I will always commend a creative choice.
If they go 100% to it.
Well, that's about as far as I commend it. I just commended to say, well, that was a neat choice. I don't think most of it was done well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think it was not miscast, but I feel like they got a lot of good actors and then had those actors acting in ways that like wasn't believable for said actors.
Yeah.
Like the whole, like and mostly by giving them weird dialogue, like the paleo veterinarian. I like that actress.
Yeah.
I think she has a fun sense of humor. A lot of her dialogue makes no sense. It feels like they're trying to make her aggressively sound millennial.
Yeah.
And then it like the things like, I'm a paleo veterinarian. I've never seen a dinosaur in person. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to say that.
Like she's a theoretical, she was like a theoretical paleo veterinarian.
You'd think that that's a degree that no college would be able to offer unless they had a partnership with Jurassic Park though. Or Jurassic World.
And this is not a dig to Berkeley. Berkeley's a great institution. I'm just saying that like there's a lot of institutions that allow you to create your own majors. I'm sure they would let you create your own theoretical major.
Well, that's a silly institution that when the opportunity to practice it, like it's like you don't want to spend one semester on Jurassic World, really?
You're not allowed to.
I feel like they could have. I feel like they could have figured something. Anyway, it was a silly choice. It was a weird choice in the writing when it could have been just as easy for her to say, I haven't seen a dinosaur since college, which would have been.
Or she could have said, I haven't seen a dinosaur since I interned at Jurassic World.
Yeah, or like I've only ever seen one dinosaur. That there was one Triceratops that we all studied with. That's the only thing I've ever seen.
Right.
Yeah, so something like that. But I've never seen one before. It's like, I find that silly.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you. My problem with Fallen Kingdom is that whole in the house thing. And now that I'm thinking more about it, you could have accomplished the same thing by having just having it all set on the island. I like the first part of the island part of Fallen Kingdom. But I think you could have had literally all the bad guys that are doing the arms deals or whatever come to the island to then ship off the dinosaurs from the island. I don't think you ever have to get into this underground bunker of whatever. Or they have a bunker on the island. It doesn't matter. But the point being is you could have kept it on the island and had better set pieces for that like second half of the movie. I just think that the movie could have been better. I'm gonna give you a compromise counter because I'm with you on kind of what the complaint is here, but I still like the big house. So what if one of two counters, and I also understand that they wanted to get off of Isla Nublar and have it be like we can't go back to Jurassic Park. We've told all the Jurassic Park stories we want. Right.
So what if
they could have ended the movie with that though? Yeah,
they could. They're in the movie with the volcano erupting. Okay.
The volcano erupts at the end. The dinosaurs die at the end. They ship off and make it end like Empire Strikes Back, where the heroes don't win at the end of Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Right. That could have been pretty cool.
The bad guys get away.
My other counter though would be have the mansion be on one of the other 5 deaths.
Yeah.
So
we were talking about the 5 deaths. Yeah.
Yeah, it's elsewhere in the archipelago.
Yeah.
And it's a big estate. It's not just this one house. It's a house with like a lot of ground. So then you could have, running from some Dinosaur out in the garden outside. You have to hide in the gardener's house from something.
Can you imagine like a rose garden maze?
Yeah, that would be so cool. Have like the I can't remember the inky the big inky guys.
Dilophosaurus.
But have those chase somebody through a maze.
Like a rosebush kind of maze. Where the humans have to go through the maze, but then the dinosaurs obviously just go through it.
And that would have such, like, I was talking about like the haunted house genre. Like you'd be able to bring in more of things like The Shining or ghost movies by really looking into the tropes of that place and how a dinosaur would be able to play out those tropes.
Yeah.
So,
Matt, you doing good?
We'll see.
We'll see. We were just talking about Fallen Kingdom before we move into Dominion.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think that like I'd be fine with Fallen Kingdom if they changed a couple of things, and that's how
a lot of these movies are though too. It's like I'm so close to loving it. Please change this thing or that thing.
Yeah. Quick question before we talk about the meaty chunks of the movie. Before Dominion, so just with the 5 movies, how would you rank them? What's your ranking of the 5?
Want me to go first?
Either by best or by enjoyment. There might be a difference.
Well, best to worst, but without Dominion, right?
Without Dominion.
Jurassic Park, Jurassic World.
Okay.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Interesting.
Jurassic Park Lost World, Jurassic Park 3.
Okay. I don't agree, but okay.
Oh yeah, did you get why I liked did that come through? Why I liked Jurassic World Fallen
No,
Kingdom?
we lost why you
I just basically compared it to Die Hard with dinosaurs.
Right.
That's really how I felt about it and thought that was a pretty cool take.
Ugh.
And they had to go to the house too because they had to get the little girl involved, right? So
yeah,
that's why they had to get there.
I think I didn't like the way they pulled off the little girl part. I think it would have been fine if I rewrote the script like what we were talking about. Like I think I could have still worked that angle in. I think it could have been better. But we'll go over after we talk about Dominion on some of the questions that people have of like, why are people disappointed in these franchises, or where do they fail versus succeed, and why do they do so, you know? But Nathan, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna do my list. I think I would have my rank be the first movie, then Jurassic World, then this is gonna be a hot take. I think for quality, I would go Jurassic Park 3 first, while enjoyment, I would go Lost World first, because I think Jurassic Park 3 is a cleaner movie. Having rewatched it, I think it's got a clean trajectory, clean arc. You know what you're following. Other than the ending cuts off suddenly, but everything until then, it's not as enjoyable as Lost World, but it sticks its trajectory.
Right. It's so weird because Lost World seems like they added on an ending, and then Jurassic Park 3 is like they cut their ending.
They shaved it off. Yeah. I also feel like Lost World is 2 or 3 movies. Like it's like we have this one idea we want to go through. We have this other idea we want to do. And we don't really know which it is. So it's not too many. It's too many characters. You've got multiple characters doing these different things. It's like I would prefer it so much more if it was this person's story, that person's, and that person's, as opposed to that, and that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Not that any of it's bad. It's just it doesn't all for me mesh together as well.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so like best out of all of them, like, is Jurassic Park. My favorite out of all of them is Lost World. So those two will switch depending on whether the list is enjoyment or best. But then I think third would be Jurassic World. I really did like Jurassic World a lot, and I thought it like added a lot to the franchise and set it up for success, which is weird when Fallen Kingdom comes out and it just kind of tears everything down. But then it's Jurassic Park 3, then it's Fallen Kingdom. I like Jurassic Park 3 better than Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah. I like Fallen Kingdom at the least for all those on the end. I like Jurassic World though. Yeah, a lot. I think that I understand why Jurassic World gets a lot of hate. I do. But for me, it's one of those cases of I feel like the movie is so fun and keeps its promises about like what it sat you down in the chair to watch. You know, it fills out its arc, all those things that I don't really feel like being critical of it. Not that I don't think the criticisms are valid. I'm just like, it gave me what I wanted. I went to Disney World with dinosaurs. I watched all hell break loose. I watched the characters escape. It doesn't try to be deep. But it also doesn't get messy. I don't feel like there's too many things happening in the movie.
Right.
So I'm very, very pleased by that film.
The only unnecessary plot is the parents' divorce. What is that? It like factors in like nothing.
All it really does is it sets you up. Well, it's a cheap screenwriting trick of trying to get you to feel sad for a character immediately when you meet them. So it's like, hey, these little kids who you don't know anything about, you might even find them annoying. Their parents are getting a divorce.
So like, cut them some slack.
Please sympathize.
Yeah,
cut them some slack and sympathize. They're having a hard time.
Yeah.
And that's fair. That's all it does. It's not really, it doesn't help you know those children any better.
Right.
But it makes you immediately be like, "Aw, those poor kids."
Yeah.
So that as things go bad, you go, "No, not those poor kids."
Give me a second, and then we'll talk about Jurassic World Dominion. But I don't know if there's any more things that you guys want to talk about right before we get to the actual movie. But
I don't have that much else.
I didn't really hear what he said. It kind of paused.
I think he's taking a small break really quick and asking us if we had anything else we wanted to talk about before we got into the movie.
Okay.
I don't know. What was your favorite part of Fallen Kingdom, though?
Oh, easy. The raptor smelling the flammable gas and jumping through the window.
Oh, I completely forgot about that moment.
My favorite moment in any of the Jurassic Park movies, man.
Oh, I got Matthew, you froze.
I have to admit, like, a lot of my enjoyment of that movie is because it is pretty ridiculous, and it reminds me of a B movie. And
that's a solid way to enjoy it. Like, if you sit down to enjoy it with some friends, you've got like a cocktail, and you're like, "This is a B movie. We're gonna have fun."
Yeah.
What movie?
I can see that. Fallen Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
The menacing villains and everything. It's just great.
I realized that, like, what I don't want in my Jurassic Park movies is just action. When I mean action like human fighting. Like, I feel like there's a difference between the action genre, the adventure genre, and then the action-adventure genre, right? And I don't really need the humans doing hand-to-hand fighting. And that's something that happens in Fallen Kingdom, and it's something that happens in Dominion. And I don't need that.
I as somebody who likes studying how producers think, I really feel like it's this worry when some producers like oversee projects that they're like, well, we have to appeal to everybody. And some people are only going to want to watch, Fast and Furious. Some people only want to watch, the book, like something action that reminds them of John Wick or Bourne. So we've got to have that Bourne identity moment. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have to make a movie for a different audience. You're making a movie for this audience.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
And my
it's like
big
Transformers. Transformers does that. Why do we want to see Mark Wahlberg fight someone? We literally have fighting alien robots doing their thing. What's the appeal of having Mark Wahlberg fight somebody?
It's a lack of confidence in sci-fi adventure, I feel like. Because sci-fi adventure, there are probably a lot of producers who, for them, it's not their genre. And they don't really get how the last one made $1 billion. And so they come in like, well, if we want to make sure the next one makes $1 billion, we got to make sure we have the popular thing that's going on right now.
Yeah.
So, the popular thing is this other thing. You're like, calm down. You are making the popular thing. If you do your thing right, everybody will show up for it.
Right.
Like Top Gun didn't at any point think that, I'm going to bring back Top Gun. Top Gun at no point thought that it had to be a different kind of movie. It just thought it had to be Top Gun. And then the audience said, yes, you did exactly what we wanted.
Right. Jurassic World Dominion, it starts off 5 years after Fallen Kingdom. And at the end of Fallen Kingdom, we find out that Maisie is a clone. So they've cloned one human. Weird to think that only one human. In a world that buys velociraptors, there's only been one human cloned in the world. Which is weird. But okay.
Yeah.
The black market has dinosaurs. There are dinosaurs in the wild. And Biosyn is the company that's working with the government. They have their reservation, and they're the quote-unquote good guys. Right?
Right.
What happened there?
Well, we just fully lost Matthew.
Yeah. We'll see. But that's kind of the way it's... I mean, was that a good... Like, I don't know. Nathan, how'd you feel about that?
I did not mind a lot of the premise of this movie. Like, I thought that was it. I was like, okay, somebody had to come up to clean up the idea. It makes sense that we're not going to give InGen another try, that they, they're not getting another chance at this stuff.
Was InGen involved with Jurassic World or no?
I think InGen had been bought and renamed.
Oh, by Masrani.
Yeah, and it wasn't called InGen anymore, but he did say he purchased InGen.
That's right. I read the wiki on it. He purchased InGen, like, between Jurassic Park 2 and 3. Lost World and 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense that also in this franchise that has very much always been commenting on capitalism, that we would get a competing company show up. So I liked that. I really liked that it was a time jump. I just didn't like how we saw the time jump take place. I didn't like it being given to us as a now this. I thought it was like, you could just give us a montage. You could just show us dinosaurs in real life and we'd understand. Like,
how'd they show it? They did like a news report, right?
They did a now this like you would see on your Facebook feed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's right.
And I also didn't think it was narrated like a now this would have been narrated. So it was like, you're just calling it now. I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me. I was like, this is you're telling it to me too direct. Stop beating me on the head. I could just look at dinosaur visuals and pick up on what's been going on.
Right. And then they like, the clone is public knowledge. That this clone of this girl has disappeared. It was narrated kind of weird in the beginning.
Yeah, it was odd.
That little bit. Would you have preferred, Nathan, that they got a TikToker? That they got a TikToker to do a TikTok on it?
I would have just preferred, look, this again, when it comes to confidence in the audience, I think the audience, as much as producers believe that the entire audience is dumb, I think that people don't realize how much they understand film language. They understand montage. And if the movie had started slowly on the ruins of Isla Nublar, right, and we saw just stuff charring, and we took the camera to a fade to black, fade up on real world or regular life, and we saw those same exact clips of dinosaurs in the wild. Dinosaurs doing this. We don't even have to say 5 years later. It's just an amount of time. We don't need to know the exacts. We see these things happen. We know, okay, dinosaurs are in the wild. We don't really, people aren't able to handle it. And then suddenly the montage goes to those dinosaurs getting picked up. Some people trank the dinosaurs, and we see that some are going to shady locations where guys with creepy tattoos are carrying AK-47s, but others are getting carried with lighter music off to a sunny place where they're being taken care of. We get some are going to the black market, some are being taken by criminals, but some are going to a sanctuary. Simple, with a difference in music and a difference in how it's shot. The audience understands, and that's all I say. And then we show somebody makes a comment at Biosynth. We say, here at Biosynth, we are happy to give as many of these dinosaurs a new home as possible. And then like we have a creepy pan to where maybe one person's camera set or computer says person of interest, clone. And like that's all it is. Clone, person of interest, whereabouts unknown. Boom.
Yeah.
You've done it. We've set up the mystery. Anybody who had their eyes pointed at the screen understands.
Also, talk about a twist that nobody was fooled by. The company named BioSyn is a bad company.
Exactly.
It's like, bad for bio stuff. It's a BioSyn. Right. Who would have thought?
I'm sorry, here's the nail.
Yeah. So we get this thing where like, okay, it's been 5 years, and by the way, it's been almost 5 years since the movie came out. 2018.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I could have sworn I saw it yesterday. But then again, I don't know.
Time is in a warp now. Nothing.
It seems like forever ago, but it also seems like it came out a couple years ago. Yeah. Matt, were you turned off by that beginning part? You're muted. You're on Zoom, you're muted.
Yeah, we got a little...
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Sorry, I'm having this issue, so I switched to my phone. Hopefully that's better.
Yeah.
It didn't really bother me. It was whatever.
You just get past it and then you just move on.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like, I didn't have very high expectations to see this movie. And, when we're dumping a bunch of, just like information like that, it's kind of just whatever. Yeah. It didn't really move the needle either way for me. I didn't think it was great. I didn't hate it. I just like, okay, here we go. This is where we were. This is where we're going. Cool.
We get 3 different scenes in the beginning to start off this movie. We get one with Claire, and she's trying to liberate the breeding mills for the Triceratops or whatever.
Right.
Whatever Ceratops. And then we see Owen wrangling the Parasaurolophus. I've called it for like 25 years, Parasaurolophus. And now I have
to parasail?
Kind of, yeah. It's not a parasail, but yeah, it's Elvis, they say in the Lost World.
I remember that one.
Yeah. The Parasaurolophus. He's doing his thing, so that's a second scene. And then Maisie is bicycling through town across the bridge. And then there's the Brontosaurus. That scene, I actually like that scene. She whispers to one of the guys, and what does she whisper? Like, use a flare to, like...
No, she tells him to... I think that her idea was the horn. To use the horn to sound like their call.
Oh, is that what happened?
Because you hear the Brontosaurus make very, very low honking sound practically.
Yeah.
And then she whispers, and then suddenly the guy climbs on the truck, and you hear, and that's the part I think was her idea, was basically communicate with them.
Yeah. Which was also kind of nice to see, because I just imagine, especially maybe it's in America, but I just imagine them being like, let's just run over these Brontosaurs with a bulldozer and just like clean up their remains, you know?
Yeah.
Not that would work, because the Brontosaurus would just like crush you.
Yeah.
But still,
it feels like the American solution, though.
I like
that scene too. Yeah, I like that scene too. I like this movie more than I made it sound like I do. But all of my notes are like, the reason that I have criticisms are like, they felt very clear and obvious to me. I was like, that should have been the first scene after the intro thing. It's like, hey, all of these animals are in the wild, and they go immediately to her, because she feels like a very protagonistic character. Go right to her. These interactions, you're bonding with this intelligent kid and how they handle problems.
Right.
And then she comes back home, sees Bryce Dallas Howard, who goes, "Did you go past the bridge?" Like we don't see her leave the house. We just see her immediately at the house. And then, you wait till Chris Pratt gets home, and then we see him lassoing.
Right. I also think that, like, show don't tell is probably a good thing, right? So in that scene, they showed it and they didn't tell it, right? We didn't even hear what she said. And the fact that we're talking about that kind of allows a little bit more thought into the movie, right?
Yeah. And it allows us to wonder what's in her mind, which gives her more depth.
Yeah. Yeah. But then we get into this weird thing with I guess Blue and Little Blue are just Beta are hanging around
Beta
in their neighborhood. How are they in the same area?
I think it was intentional. I think the idea is that like Owen helped Blue find a spot to net or to like hide, and the thing that, because that's also, it's been like Owen didn't know that Blue had a kid. They're clearly, it's like they knew Blue was in the forest, and like we spoke, like you got the sense that we chose this spot so that, you know, Blue could stick around with us and hide in the same area. But they didn't know that whole time that Blue was pregnant or had laid an egg that had been raising this thing.
Yeah, laid one egg also, right?
Right. We only have Beta.
Yeah.
Only the one.
Because Blue is the last Velociraptor. There are more than one T-Rex, but they're
that got confusing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can bring that up later. Just the way they described it later, where they're like, because they said that they put two apex predators in the same thing. Like they put one Giganotosaurus, but there are multiple T-Rexes.
Yeah. You're bringing up
There's
a lot
weird
of
dialogue choice.
Yeah. Okay, so then we see this weird, like almost like the beginning of Interstellar, where the world is breaking down. They're like with the locust, and it's genetically engineered locust that they're not even trying to hide the fact that they're genetically engineered prehistoric locust. They could have just been regular locusts that were engineered, but
to be more aggressive.
Yeah, but not looking like they're like fucking monsters, right?
And it is the most obvious. Like if the biosynth people are like, they're not going to put it on us. I'm like, honestly, anyone should have been able to figure out like, not a single biosynth thing has been hit by this. Sounds like an inside job. Like
right.
That's like organized crime 101. Like, seems like everybody's place has been broken into except for the ones that belong to you.
Yeah. They're nasty, by the way. I don't know. Those locusts were nasty. I would have
pretty
liked,
ugly, scary.
I would have liked to see more non-dinosaur prehistoric creatures, though.
I like that we started to get a tease of like they're still dinosaurs, but they're non-scaly. I liked that we started to see.
Like what? Like Dimetrodon?
Like, yeah, well, like the prehistoric chinchilla or whatever it was that we see.
What was the prehistoric? What was the prehistoric chinchilla?
You know, like when they're in the facility, there's the like little rabbit-shaped looking thing that hunts a mouse in a little apparatus.
I thought that was a little velociraptor, not a velociraptor, but like a little raptor looking thing.
It was its own thing. It was its own thing. I think the size it was its adult size.
What dinosaur eats them? Like,
because I think it's the same thing that when they're in DC at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing that little girl is petting.
Yeah. I can't find out what. I don't know if anyone can look that up, but anyway, okay. The thing about Dimetrodon that we see later is Dimetrodon isn't technically a dinosaur. It became I remember this from like when I was a kid. It became extinct 60 million years before the first dinosaurs evolved. Like it was, and it says it's more closely related to living mammals than it is to any extinct or living reptile. They went extinct a long time ago. The reason I remember Dimetrodon is because when I was a kid, I was like, Dimetrodon?
You go, man.
That's how I remember Dimetrodon. But it would have been cool to see like trilobites, just like horseshoe crab looking like prehistoric things. It would have been cool to see like some prehistoric fish.
Yeah, give me a giant squid. Give me some give me a nautilus with something growing out of it. Yeah.
And let it get eaten. Let's see what these guys are eating. Because why are they eating only like modern mammals? Let's start
why were they being fed deer? That doesn't feel like the correct food chain.
Right.
Well, and you realize it's because it's a company, and the company doesn't want to feed its actual product to the product.
Well, but I'm sure.
I think they don't.
The T-Rex eats other herbivores.
But I feel like by even having that deer thing again, for like that would have been a neat thing to explore. Like they've got the little sensors in the brains of all dinosaurs. The dinosaurs' commands. Maybe there was like a plot line that was the original intention, that like the dinosaurs don't actually stray out of certain ranges because they'll get instead of an electric fence, they get a mental buzz.
Yeah.
And that would also keep them from eating things they're not supposed to eat.
Right. I have a lot of questions about the dinosaurs in this movie.
Yes.
Do you guys have a favorite dinosaur in this movie?
Oh yeah, easily. I want Matthew to say his though, because I'm really curious, like, because his B movie excitement from the last one. I want to know it.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I saw the Fallen Kingdom and Dominion like so close together. I'm trying to have a hard time picking them apart. I like seeing the Dilophosaurus again. That was my favorite as a kid. So seeing the dinosaur at the end, the Dilophosaurus going after
more than one.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. So that was
a good scene. That was a nice. Which was a nice symmetry to the first movie.
Yeah. The death of Dodgson. Yeah. Down to the dropping of the Barbasol can.
Mm-hmm.
A little on the nose, but why does he have a Barbasol can?
I think that's meant to be the Barbasol can from the first movie, which is why it seems all kind of burnt and old. Is like, how did he find that? How did he find that?
How did he get that?
Yeah, because that would have been on Isla Nublar, right?
Would have been Isla Nublar, and it also would have been a pretty useless memento. It's like, this is a memento of the time your company failed to get that information.
Yeah. Also, it was buried in the mud. Like, at what point can you'd have to find it by accident over the last 20 years.
He either had to go get it himself,
or somebody finds it and they're like,
tell somebody to go get it.
Yeah.
And then like, who knows the significance of that? Wouldn't it be like, why the fuck do you care about this Barbasol can? What the hell does it mean to you? And be like, what's up with this Barbasol can? It's just really weird. It's really weird that he had it.
Right.
Odd choices.
And it was a sentimental. And they didn't need it. It was sentimental to him too, because he took it on its way out.
He saved it. They didn't need that moment for it to be a good, like him being killed by those dinosaurs. That's all we needed. We didn't also need the Barbasol can.
Wouldn't it have been funnier if, as he's packing up, he packs up his toiletries, and in his toiletries is just a Barbasol can.
Yeah. When he gets attacked, his suitcase explodes open, and then just like a Barbasol can rolls out. Right. It's like, that's funny. I would have laughed.
That would have been funnier. There was a weird thing where, like, the people, Matthew and I saw the movie together. There were people behind us that saw the Barbasol can and said, "Aww." I was like, "What? You're awing the Barbasol can?" Like, I get what they're saying. It's a nostalgia thing. Like, it's a callback, but why are you awing? I don't know. It was weird.
Like,
they were a little weird too. They were quiet the whole time, but except for like the last like 20 minutes of the movie, they started like just making all these noises. Weird.
Yeah.
I think my favorite two dinosaurs in the movie, hands down, were the Pyro Raptor, and I cannot pronounce this one yet, but was it
Therazinosaurus.
Therazinosaurus is nightmare fuel, and I loved it.
It's weird because it's an herbivore.
Yeah, that one's cool.
In reality, it's an herbivore.
In reality, it's an herbivore, and in the movie, it's an herbivore. But you assume because it's an herbivore that it's going to be passive, like a brontosaurus or a triceratops would be. But it seems it's because it's territorial.
Yeah,
that's why
deer, like, knocked away, right?
It didn't eat the deer; it smacked the deer away.
And that's why it and the T-Rex don't fight after it helps kill the Giganotosaurus.
Right. Also, it's the tallest. It's taller than the T-Rex. It has this ostrich kind of neck. I'm looking at the picture from him. It's a really cool design, actually. It's
terrifying.
But you can see it has a beak and it has claws, but it's not a carnivore. Therazinosaurus. Yeah. They found it in Mongolia in real life, I think.
If there's a pop figure of that, I will be trying to get it.
They do pop figures of the dinosaurs?
Oh yeah. There are pop figures right now you can get the T-Rex, you can get T-Rex, Velociraptors, Atrociraptors, and a couple other things, I think.
Oh, nice.
But I want the Therazinosaurus.
I see it. They do have a Therazinosaurus pop.
What?
Yeah.
I don't like that green face that much.
Yeah, I don't like that green face either.
Yeah, I kind of want it still anyway.
Well, you brought up the Atrociraptors. Let's bring up the Atrociraptors and the whole Act 2, because there's a couple characters that don't really get introduced until Act 3, or depending on where you split the acts. This was like a 4-act movie, right? If not 5 acts. But DeWanda Wise doesn't. We don't even see her character do anything up until they leave Malta. They leave Malta. Then she's a character because she doesn't do anything until she leaves. You right?
Yeah. I think I would say I think we're meant to think of that action scene in Malta as the end of Act 1. And Act 1's just a very
long,
just a very choppy and long act.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked her character. I thought that she was a standout of the movie. And I can't remember the name of the character, but the assistant who portrays
Ramsey
Dodson. I loved that character. I wanted so much more of him. I actually thought he was the most believable performance in the whole movie, and I was like, this guy's sympathetic.
Yeah.
He's interesting. I want more.
There's a scene with him that I want to talk about, but I want to talk about it later. So we'll make sure to bring it up.
The one we were talking about in the car, right?
Yeah. Matthew and I were talking about. But let's talk about Malta as a concept. So what we deal with is Beta gets kidnapped, raptor napped, kid napped, and then so does Maisie.
Love it.
Maisie gets taken by some woman. We don't see that woman appear ever again. It's the woman on the bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was weird. We had the woman on the bridge who is just a handler.
She seemed important, and you never see her pass the bridge.
Right, and she's working with poachers, and then the poachers and her
working for Biosyn, right?
Yeah, well, no, technically they were working for this other criminal underworld blonde woman.
Santos is her name.
Yeah, who does business with Biosynth, but isn't Biosynth.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you're saying Biosynth, but it's Biosyn.
I'm saying synth.
Yeah.
Biosyn.
I'm
giving it too much credit of having less or more nuance.
Yeah. So you're right. They're working for Santos. They say Santos, but whatever. Santos. And then Santos is working for Biosyn, which is Dodgson. Because Dodgson seems to be the only evil person at Biosyn.
Yeah, he's the Elon Musk at the top of this otherwise forward-thinking company.
Right. Everybody else seems to be in it to
Yeah, we were hired on and we believe in the message of the company. Yeah.
Yeah. He seems like he doesn't
some of them seem like some of them seem like they're willing participants into some.
Yeah.
Some stuff that's probably not ethical, but
right.
The ones out of all of them that seem like actually like evil, bad person, yeah, it's just him.
Are we meant to think that Ramsey is a bad guy as well because he's assistant to Dodgson? Because I never believed he was a bad guy.
No, I don't think we are. I actually think that speech from Jeff Goldblum when he is fired is meant to absolve the rest of the company for the audience, that we're meant to think, hey, this Dodgson, maybe a couple other characters we're not seeing, manipulate everybody else into being willing to like turn a blind eye to things. And that way, after that speech, people are like, nobody sticks around to help him. They're like, we are all running.
Right. So with Malt, it's this. Again, I'm not a big fan of I like the action sequences. I like the motorcycle chase, but I don't need to see Chris Pratt hand-to-hand fighting people in the bazaar.
Well, him or when Bryce Dallas Howard fights the other woman in that kitchen.
Oh yeah, she's fighting Santos in the kitchen.
Yeah. That didn't. Neither of those moments worked for me. The concept of the bazaar, that was great.
Yeah.
The chase on the motorcycles, I feel like you only needed that too. I feel like all of the hand-to-hand stuff, it's like it reeks of like Chris Pratt's contract said he had to punch somebody.
Because Fallen Kingdom does it when he's in the mansion and Chris Pratt takes out 5 guys in a steady sprint as he's going towards the switch to turn the switch off to make sure that the Indoraptor cage doesn't leave. It's the same thing. It's Chris Pratt being like, yeah, we got to work in a scene where I take down 5 guys.
Yeah, if you want to take down 5 guys, Pratt, there is a 5 guys on the corner. We will order you a double cheeseburger.
I'm sure there's a 5 guys on Biosyn grounds. Yeah, what restaurants and stuff would they have? Those people don't seem like they leave that often. There has to be Chipotle. Restaurants, right?
There is. That place is filled with millennials. There is a Chipotle, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just to add to Malta, kind of want to maybe talk about it a little different perspective in that, my overall thing with these movies is we've seen the shock and the awe. Oh, there's dinosaurs alive. We've seen that. We've seen things gone wrong where they escape and they get out.
Right.
And this is the 6th movie. So, I mean, how many times can we just go to an island and be dinosaurs? Oh, they get out. We're getting eaten before we just be like, we need some other reason to keep visiting these dinosaurs in the theaters, right?
Yeah.
So
to be fair, though, what you're saying is only 2 movies: Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. All the other movies.
Jurassic Park 3 is still going to an island for some reason. And
no, I know.
Dinosaurs escaping. It's not really
they don't
necessarily
escape in Jurassic Park 3.
They're
wild dinosaurs.
Out in the wild, yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I feel like there needs to be something else to justify these movies, to have them have anything interesting to differentiate them from each other.
Right.
And adding in an espionage type. I mean, I know it's not technically espionage, but it kind of has that feel of a Mission Impossible, Jason Bourne type of thing.
Yeah.
Going through the motorcycle chase makes it stand out from the others. As opposed to just being the circumstance where these people are exposed and getting eaten. I don't know. I understand I understand saying that it may have not worked for, some aspect. But the hand-to-hand combat and having that kind of human conflict, I think kind of just brings a new thing to the movies.
I don't know. It doesn't make Transformers better. I have to compare it to Transformers. The human to human. What's that?
Well, Transformers aren't. I don't know what that has to do with
Transformers. Why do we need Mark Wahlberg fighting a guy on a rooftop for 15 minutes in Transformers 4?
I will add this because I think I like the sequence except for how much of it was hand-to-hand combat. Not because I thought it was bad, but just because I don't believe that those characters are in that situation. Every time they try to make Owen the coolest person ever, I'm like, this is trying very hard. But but I like the situation a lot. I think it should have been, hey, we're the exact same setup. We're trying to locate this person, help us, go into the bazaar, see if we can locate this person. We're making contact. They make contact, deal in the back. So we see all the shady shit going down with the dinosaurs in the real world, which is what I thought was the most interesting part of the movie, by the way. I wish the whole movie.
I agree.
The black market dinosaurs. I wish the whole movie had been different types of different things that have popped up around the world because of dinosaurs being there.
Like if this, then what? Right?
Yeah, dinosaurs in the national parks, dinosaur poaching, dinosaur Tiger King.
Yeah.
Yes. Things like that would have been awesome. But so I love that situation. I thought it should have been the moment. I think that scene should have, the moment they did the thing, she lasered several people, including Owen. Everybody immediately starts running. You don't waste your time with the punchies. Just go right into the chase.
Right.
And then we can still have the Bryce Dallas Howard chases that woman down, and she's like, "Oh, chases." I keep Santos.
Santos. Yeah, but the Terrazinosaurus chases. Wait, who chases who first? The raptor chases Claire.
The raptors are chasing some other people.
Yeah,
and then Claire finds the woman, and then she lasers her, and then Claire runs.
Yeah.
I think that the woman should have lasered Claire before we had the random fight in the kitchen. I think it could have just been, "You found me."
Yeah, you don't have to. They don't have to play it up too much. They should just be like, looks like she's cornered, and she's like,
yeah, and that would have been dramatic enough.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much my only problem there. I had one other note about the that whole scene. Actually, not that whole scene. That basically the whole subplot of smuggling the Velociraptor and
Maisie,
and smuggling Maisie, where I was like, okay, you have the poacher guy, you have the woman on the bridge, you have Santos, and you then have the head of security at Biosyn are all these second in command bad guys. They all should have been the same character. You should have had the mysterious blonde woman on the bridge showed up with the poachers that helped her locate the Owen, and then she gets Maisie, and we fly she's flown part way by this character who had only knew that there was a Velociraptor on board. It's like, wait a minute, where were you smuggling that girl? It's like, she was in the other cage. We're like, what? There was a child in a cage. And then when she sees Bryce Dallas Howard, it's like, I didn't know that I smuggled that girl out of the country. That didn't sit right with me. And then instead of having the blonde woman get, or I keep calling her that because I can't remember Santos. I keep calling her DeSantis, like Florida, and so I'm stopping myself from saying DeSantis. So Santos. So anyway, Santos end up also being the head of security back at Biosyn. So then later she gets a great kill at the end of the movie.
Right. I just realized that we have in the whole Jurassic Park franchise, the amount of female deaths is close to none.
Except for the most violent death in the whole franchise.
Yes. In Jurassic World with Zara.
Gosh.
Who is played by I forget her name, but she plays Lena Luthor on Supergirl. It's the same
actress.
Most
horrific death.
She's also on that TV show with Paul Rudd. She plays his wife.
What? Oh, the one where he plays multiples of himself?
Fighting with Herself or whatever it's called. I forget what it's called. Yeah, she's in that show too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is the most violent death in the whole franchise. It's kind of cruel. And
it's
viciously
cruel. It's torture.
Missing character. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that was sticking with me and being kind of disturbed by it.
Right. I was shocked in the theater. That's the moment that I felt like the movie was trying to make a turn to horror, where you're like, you thought you were safe, now we're gonna screw with you. And then I'm like, I don't think the movie goes hard enough after that point. I'm like, you've given me this terrible kill.
Yeah.
Keep it closer to that level. If I were to give a note to Jurassic World, it'd be that.
It made me think that like Colin Trevorrow had like an ex named Zara. You know what I mean?
You might be right.
Yeah.
Like that's what it seems like because it was overly cruel and like didn't fit. It didn't fit the movie. It was cool in a horror aspect because it freaked me out. Like the Mosasaurus freaks me out, by the way.
Yeah, and for me to find it cool in a horror aspect, I don't want it to be isolated because by being isolated, it's weird. But if the rest of the movie had been like that's the turn into horror from that point on, strap in, I'd be like, awesome.
Like Jimmy Buffett. Terrible. Jimmy Buffett gets like taken away by pterodactyl, right? Like you know that was Jimmy Buffett, right?
Yeah.
With the margaritas
at Margaritaville.
Yeah, which is kind of a cool cameo to have. People were talking about that guy forever. If he got taken away by some pterodactyls, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
He's not adding anything more to the world, man. We already got the song. It's good.
I mean, in the Jurassic Park universe, yeah.
I don't wish anything.
You want a pterodactyl to take him away in real life?
I want a pterodactyl to take plenty of people away. Give me the pterodactyls.
Yeah.
That's the news story. That's the tragic news story I do want. Give me the dinosaur attack. It's like, okay.
Well, here's the thing. We show that. Is it Vegas that the pterodactyls are in? Where are they in?
At the end of Fallen Kingdom?
End of Fallen Kingdom, they're in Vegas. But at the end, or the beginning of Dominion, they're somewhere. They're creating
like
a
Space
nest.
Needle.
Is that the space?
It looked like the space.
Okay.
That's what it looked like. It could be wrong, but it's something like that. It's something with like it looks like it's whatever
New
it is.
York.
Yeah, that was in New York. Yeah, I thought it was
a New York thing.
They're flyers, right? So I feel like they got cross country in 5 years. You know? But it's more like all the people in New York could just be like snatched away randomly.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought.
Like, how are they eating? What are those pterodactyls eating? They're eating people. They have to be. In New York City? What, they're going to take the falafel cart?
Did they actually carry people away and eat them? Or, because there was Zara, they like were dropping her, right?
Well,
they were hold her up.
I think that's because they were in a frenzy, but I think we're meant to believe that they bring them to a location and then
in Jurassic Park 3.
Some of them are
okay.
In Jurassic Park 3, they take the kid and he drops him in the nest where the babies are trying to eat him. Remember?
No, I do not remember.
Nathan, you remember because you watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a kill and peck to death and rip the parts piece.
They would rip them apart.
Okay.
That being said, like the first female kill in Jurassic Park franchise is Jurassic World. It's Zara.
Yeah, it was that one.
Because there's no other female. Because also they make a point to state that like this whole like toxic stuff that happens in Jurassic World is a boys club type toxicity. Right? Because in number 1, we deal with we deal with Ellie and we deal with Lexi, and they both are kind of like women in a boys club kind of situation, and so it's interesting. Julianne Moore and Kelly are the only 2 females in Jurassic Park in Lost World, and they don't die. And
little girl gets attacked at the beginning.
Again, it's a boys club.
Not
it's a boys club of hunters.
And she's not killed. She's
she's not killed.
Who? The little girl in the beginning of Jurassic Lost World.
The little girl in the beginning of Jurassic World, Jurassic Lost World is not killed. Yeah, you're right. She's attacked but not killed. And then in Jurassic Park 3, Taya Leone doesn't die. She's the only girl. And then in Jurassic World, we're introduced to Claire, who's, again, one of the only women in a boys club. And then Zara's the assistant. So, like, there's kind of an ongoing thing. But Zara's the first one. We deal with one female death in Fallen Kingdom, which is one of the rich ladies in the elevator, who you're meant to feel like, yeah, she deserves it. Because they're...
I know, off screen, too. She did not get an on-screen kill.
Zara's the only female death on screen.
The deaths in this movie, very few of them were on screen. Did anybody else notice that? Like, we see a couple.
Yeah.
You see the guy on the scooter get grabbed.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one from the trailer too.
Which is weird that they had that in the trailer, by the way. It's violent for the trailer.
And he had no idea either. So
how
he's going to get eaten by a
know?
dinosaur. That's the best way to go.
Yeah.
Does anyone die in who all actually dies at the biosyn facility?
Not very many people.
Dodgson died. Technically, Dodgson dies off screen. He gets attacked on screen, but the death stuff is off screen. No one gets eaten by the Giganotosaurus because they don't want to kill any of that primary cast. They just, I feel like that's they ran the numbers. They're like, we don't think of any of them as expendable. We'd rather just get out of the movie with everybody safe.
Yeah.
Nobody
dies except Dodgson.
The big kill of the movie is the Giganotosaurus.
Yeah. And yeah. Which is also weird. That's kind of it kind of reminds or hits home the shift of this movie into an action adventure type movie where every human character is superhuman enough to not be eaten.
Yeah.
Because the dinosaurs keep doing this thing. The dinosaurs pop up, and then there's a chase, and then the dinosaur's foot slips, or they pause, they look around, they roar, and then they go again, which gives that person extra time. It's like weird plot.
Yeah, everyone had plot armor in this. The biggest moment of plot armor was and they didn't have to have this be how the showdown went down, but the Pyro Raptor versus Owen.
Yeah.
The moment they decided to have that play out like that, he should have died. He should have died.
Once he went into the ice?
Yeah, once he went into the water, it should have been game over. Like, that's getting out of broken ice is one of the hardest things you can do.
Yeah.
So the idea that she even saves him as quickly as it doesn't make any sense.
Because the rescuer has to be on their stomach.
Yeah,
every step of getting out of ice, just in case anyone ever falls into ice, you gotta displace your weight across the ice. So the rescuer needs to get on their stomach, and then when you pull the person up, they have to be pulled on their stomach to displace.
That's with anything, pulling somebody up. You got to be on your stomach, because otherwise they're going to pull you down too. So you got to be on your stomach.
Really?
Yeah.
Like if somebody's hanging off a building?
Yeah, and you lean over, they'll pull you over.
Yeah, but ice in particular, it'll break underneath you if you're not lying down.
Yep.
Yeah.
But also he would have lost the opening of the ice within seconds. Within seconds of being under the water, he would have not been under the same location anymore. Just the first time you move, you've lost the opening of the ice. And then the other thing is, the moment they get out of that ice, there ain't no way he can run yet, because that was freezing water.
Yeah. And also, just the Pyro Raptor was fast. He just circled him, and he didn't go in for the kill.
Yeah, there's a lot of goofy little moments like that where you're like, okay, I have to accept that this is a movie about the characters not really being in any real danger.
Right.
And just showing us cool dinosaurs.
If anyone should have died, though, it should have been Owen. Owen would have been the most logical death in this movie.
And he keeps putting himself into situations where he should have died.
Right.
It makes sense that each time that Claire survived, it made sense that she survived. She survived through smarts. Somebody saved her on the car, and then they're ahead of the Raptor just enough. That made total sense. When she survives the what's the bird one? We just said its name.
Therazinosaurus.
Therazinosaurus. It made sense that she survived. She had to hide out and make a smart choice. I'm like, I believed that survival moment. But Owen keeps putting himself in really stupid situations that don't make any sense that he lived that. Like when he's racing the two raptors on his motorcycle, I'm like, they should have got him so many different times.
Right.
He is on a bike. Those are easy to knock over. He just should have been bounced once.
That being said, credit to them, because he's on a bike and he's been shown to be on a bike multiple times in the franchise. He's really good on a bike, right? So it's not like they pulled that out of their ass.
Right. No, absolutely. And like you can believe like, oh, maybe he knew some tricks to move out of the way, but they really just show him on the bike.
Yeah.
He could have been knocked over pretty quick.
Right.
I think there was a moment that was pretty egregious to me of like that I remember what it was. Towards the very beginning of the movie, they absolutely communicate, don't believe that Owen is going to do human things. He's a superhuman the entire film. And that's when he successfully lassos and stops the
Parasaurolophus.
Yeah, because that thing's huge. In Lost World, it took multiple guys to get something like that still.
Yeah.
And it still didn't work.
But those guys weren't horse wranglers. Right,
exactly.
I don't know whether I meant that as a joke or not, but
I think it's because Owen's not a horse wrangler. He's a raptor training Navy person.
Yeah.
But the moment he could successfully stop that dinosaur and it didn't throw him in the air, because he's dragging as if he weighs like 250 pounds.
They do that in Lost World, right?
Yeah, they throw him in the air in Lost World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those guys were not well trained. I think that was also a purpose of Lost World. They were learning about the dinosaurs while they were hunting the dinosaurs.
Well, is part of learning how to handle dinosaurs learning how to add 80 pounds to your body weight suddenly so that you drag back?
I mean, I would assume they would have been trained in their stuff, but I feel like they were horribly trained in the Lost World. You know,
Lost World. They were just like hunters, right? They weren't really.
It seemed like ex-military. Like special ops or special forces kind of thing.
Or
they had that one scientist.
I thought they were game hunters.
Usually those a group like that is going to have a lot of ex-military. So they're like the guy from Fargo who gets killed by the compies. You get the strong sense that he's ex-military. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's also a lot of what a lot of the franchise I think comments on is like especially Jurassic World comments on the military-industrial complex stuff and the arms dealing.
Yeah.
But I think a taste of that is in Lost World.
Once we get to the reservation, I do like the movie. I mean, I like the reservation. It made sense to me. That being said, you can clearly tell that the whole movie is about it's more childish, family friendly action movie, like the whole kind of movie.
Yeah, it's a movie that's very much about like bring your kids to get scared. Like this is like family friendly, terrifying.
But nobody's getting teared apart.
Right. It's here to freak out your little kid, but it's not going to be inappropriate. Like effectively scary without pushing the envelope.
I mean, weird that this one's the one that does it. Because even in Fallen Kingdom, the one guy who tries to pull the Indoraptor's teeth gets lifted by his arm and gets his arm ripped off. Though nothing bleeds, though. I noticed that. Nothing bleeds.
Do you think they got a note about that? Do you think they got somebody from up high said, "Oh, we don't like how scary and violent the last one was. Make this one scary, but not violent." I mean, they've all been
violent, though.
I know. It feels. That's why I say it seems like a producerial note. Like
just for the sixth movie, just make the sixth one.
Maybe like, oh, this isn't testing well enough. We need this to test better with church groups in Oklahoma.
Church groups that believe that humans and dinosaurs live together.
Yeah, we can't watch these people die. That's also the vibe that I always get. Like, there's like some conservative testing group of like, we need to tell middle American families that if they are a well-trained, outdoorsy conservative couple doing their best to protect their kid, that they too could survive a dinosaur attack because that's what God intended.
Right.
It's like, this is going to test well.
On the poster, like, what does it say? 65 million years in the making, and then they cross it out and they go 6,500.
Yeah,
years in the making
for all of the Rust Belt releases.
Oh, 6,500 years ago.
Yeah, from the Book of Exodus, Genesis.
It would be Genesis. Yeah.
Yeah, from the Book of Genesis.
Yeah. So we get to this reservation. We haven't even touched on Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant, but their side quests is just to get them to the reservation, and then shit goes down, right?
To get them to the reservation and to show that biosyn is bad, that we should not like these people.
I've been saying reservation. I meant preservation. Sorry. Anyway.
It's the same. No, it's not the same. Nope, not the same at all.
No, not the same.
Not the same at all. Took a moment where I was like, safe place, away from the government. That's all my brain wanted to do. And they're like, nope, not the same.
So sorry.
The
what
preservation.
You were saying something before I cut you off, Nathan?
That I think that the point was really just, or beyond getting them there, showing that biosyn is bad. That biosyn equals bad.
Right. Biosyn's the one genetically engineering locust.
Right. Genetically engineering locusts to kill independent farming.
It's kind of, is it supposed to mirror that man is playing God? That man is creating plagues?
Yeah, I think it's also like if on our current track, we're going for extinction, right? That's kind of like what this whole thing is.
Right.
We're the plague. Yeah. We're going toward extinction if we don't figure out how to.
It's an underexplored metaphor.
Decisions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They keep glimpsing at it because like the CIA guy who we see for 2 seconds lists a bunch of other plagues when they say, oh, what's next?
Oh, but that was a joke, right?
Yeah, but it's you feel like as far as again it being a movie with a bunch of subplots, like, oh, was that a theme or a metaphor you were going to explore that then got dropped? Because then Goldblum's character Ian Malcolm says something about that later, like you're heading toward extinction and you just don't care. Yeah.
Malcolm just so happens to be there.
They hired him, right?
He accepted the role. Yeah, they hired him as their in-house philosopher to keep them honest. The evil company hired an in-house philosopher to keep them honest.
Right.
I'm assuming as a PR move.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least look like they're trying to.
Because Ian Malcolm has been against dinosaurs this whole time, even into Fallen Kingdom. So getting him to work for biosyn makes sense, like from a PR standpoint.
It's like, oh, see, we're not just doing anything we want. We have an anti-dinosaur guy, like who we're listening to. Yeah, makes sense. And then that immediately backfires.
Yeah. You know what I don't like is that when two characters come in and they go, Matthew Mori, as I live and breathe. And then Matthew's like, Dimitri Pereira, bring it here, or whatever. Like, the full names is what I'm trying to say. The full name thing. Ellie Sattler, Alan Grant. It's just kind of cheesy to me.
It is.
It is cheesy.
It's the writer not knowing another way to have them say hello to each other.
Right. What about a nickname?
That's all it is.
Show a person's relationship by what they choose to call you. Right?
D-Money, what's up?
Or begin the interaction with something purposeful, like, it's been a long time, Alan. Or like, it's like you look the same as I used to before. Like, have them say something to start the conversation immediately.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, Alan. You things have changed, and then he turns and says, "You look exactly the same, Ellie," or something like that. Yeah. Like, then we know he's still got a crush. She's mourning the time they haven't been together. Like, you immediately understand that dynamic from those two lines without it feeling over the head.
Yeah,
he's got that Polaroid of her, which is like the boomer equivalent of stalking like the Facebook page, right? Pulling out the Polaroid every now and then.
They could have written a lot of these scenes a little bit more concise, right?
Yeah. A lot of characters that could have been consolidated, scenes that could have just had one or two rewrites to get right on track.
The problem is too many rewrites. It depends on who's doing the rewrite. Which is kind of a thought I always have when it comes to writing in this whole thing. What were you going to say, Nathan?
Well, I was going to say, as a screenwriter and as somebody who thinks about writing all the time, I think we think of rewrites as two different types of things. One type of rewrite is, hey, we don't like the direction something is going. Yeah. We're literally, hitting it again, or we're hiring a new person to look at it. Versus what I think of as rewrite, which is, okay, we've plotted something out as a storyboard and we're plotting out the scripting for it. Now we're going to read the script together and say, is this working? Let's, Tuesday night, we've written one version of that script, and then we're going to read it together on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we say, nah, that wasn't good enough. Let's write it again. So not rewrites like, here's the finished version of the script. Nope, do it again. It's more like, hey, here's first draft, second draft, third draft. When we hit draft 5, that's the script. And then a rewrite would be anything after draft 5 when, we did 5 drafts, but it's perfect. And then they say, well, we don't think it's sexy enough. And that's a rewrite when they bring in the new person to add humor, sex appeal, comedic relief.
There's a couple of different things they do, right? They go, okay, we're gonna tap this writer. We're gonna tap Dimitri to write the script. They write the script and they're like, okay, now we just kind of have it, and we're like, hey, Matthew, this is the script we have. I want you to rewrite this script, or add on, do the changes. Dimitri is out of the equation now. And then Matt rewrites the script, revises it, adds whatever they need to, and then later they're like, nah, we're gonna go in a different direction. Now, instead of taking place in Antarctica, we're gonna do it in the desert, and the scenes you need to reflect that. But Matthew's out of the equation now, so we're giving it to Nathan, right? So now none of us have talked to each other. We're just all editing like this telephone of the script, right?
Which is so sloppy. Versus if they say, hey,
it happens a lot.
It does, and which is why sloppy scripts happen a lot. Versus if they say, okay, we're going to hire Dimitri. Dimitri, pitch us your version of the script. You give us a story treatment. You say, here's my story. And that's my opportunity as the producer to say, I don't like that story direction. Let's test it with a couple people. Okay, so after about 3 weeks of testing your story, I say, okay, give us the full script. In that time, you've already written a first draft of it because you're getting ahead of things. So we read the first draft pretty quickly and we say, all right, cool, here's some notes. Hit it again. So you do, again, you give me 3 drafts. At third draft, you're like, I think I've got an idea. You've talked to the director a little bit. Director likes it. Director says, I want it to be funnier. He hires Matthew. He says, you and Matthew are going to work on draft number 6 to make it funnier. And Matthew could be just a script doctor who comes in and basically just gives you notes of like, here are some jokes that would fit in all of these scenes. My dad script doctored once on a movie. Joss Whedon script doctored on Toy Story. It's not like
it's punching up,
redraft,
right?
Yeah, it's not fully doing a redraft. You just added some moments here and there in the dialogue,
right?
And that's just script doctoring. Or he could say, hey, he worked with you and said, hey, let's add this character, this other character whose whole story arc is being afraid of dinosaurs, but by the end of the movie, he's in love with dinosaurs.
But that sometimes is like a whole new writer that they bring in to do that, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like if he said, I want to add
fit.
Yeah, but hopefully if a great example of it working is Die Hard. That Die Hard had a full version of the script that had existed for a while, full story. And then the director was like, I need it to be funny. And he brought I think it was the writer of, was it 48 Hours? No, a writer he'd worked with on another one of those action movies. And he said, make it funny. And that's all he said. Just don't change anything else. Just add jokes.
Yeah.
Just add jokes. And they didn't mesh well. Like they meshed well for a little while. And then finally the director was like, he was like equivalent of, Dimitri, I like what you brought to the script. We're using a lot of your stuff anymore, but you don't have anything more to add. So it's all going to come down to what funny he adds.
Mm. Yeah.
So
people online, they always go, well, I saw this little thing on Reddit recently. It was just saying, why can't they just hire good writers? Why are bad writers writing these movies? It's because everybody thinks that the writing is somebody writes it and they make it. And they don't understand even if you have 3 great writers involved with it, they're all going to treat the script differently and it ends up disjointed, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that script writing nowadays. So it's not, I think there's the issue of the disjointed with those things, or with those very different writers, but I also think it's the producers asking inconsistent things of those writers or putting them under a crunch. So you might say, hey, for me to do my best work, I need 3 months of where I'm going to do in that 3 months, I'm going to do 3 drafts. I'm going to show it to my buddy, the director, I'm going to work on it. But the producers might say, no, your first draft is what we're going to use. And then your first draft just gets handed off to that next writer.
Yeah.
Versus you really getting to do your best work.
Yeah. Or they could say, I'll give you 3 months to do multiple drafts, but I need the first draft due in a week. You drink all the caffeine, take all the drugs that you want to stay awake, You stay up, you push out a script in a week, and they're like, thank you for the script. You won't be necessary for the next draft. And then they hand that off, right?
Yeah,
they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, and as opposed to some script where the direct versus the ideal relationship is where you and the director or you and the executive producer have had a dynamic together for months of cracking this thing, and you as the writer are integral, but you've also been given your time to do notes. And when the producers didn't like something that they wrote or that you wrote, instead of firing you, they said, hey, do it again. Take this note and integrate it again.
Right. There are a couple movies where you can see that it is a seamless movie from start to finish. The Suicide Squad stands out to me. Guardians of the Galaxy movies do too. What do they have in common? They have James Gunn. And I believe it's part of James Gunn's contract in which you have to trust me that I will give you a proper end product. As opposed to James Gunn writes a script and then Walter Hamada, what was the DC president, comes in and says, I don't want this, I want this. And then they have somebody else revise the script, right?
Yeah. Well, another thing you can see about these smart writers that they say, trust me, I'm going to write this whole thing, is that usually they are not private. They know that in order to get the best script possible, they're sending it to 3 of their friends. So that's why you always hear James Gunn say, I've read Taika Waititi's script, or vice versa. And they say, I know it's good. Why did they read it? Because that's their dynamic, is they said, I sent it to my other writer friend for notes.
Right. And they take criticism. I think that's also a sign of a good writer.
Yeah, they take criticism early too.
Yeah. Matt, do you, in your opinion, do you know of any like seamless kind of like an example of like a seamless script or a seamless?
The Last Jedi, of course.
Was that all one writer?
Yeah. It was all Rian Johnson. He wrote and directed it. It was all his thing.
They gave him the whole range.
A lot of the. Yeah, he's the only person to write and direct a Star Wars movie other than George Lucas. Yeah, his movies, like his movies feel that way. Yeah. That's just the first one coming to mind. Well, really.
What else has Rian Johnson done?
Looper, Knives Out. Brick.
Yeah, those are all seamless, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you another person whose stuff feels seamless. Have you guys seen Mike Flanagan's work?
No.
Maybe.
Haunting of Hill House, Dr. Sleep, Midnight Mass.
Was Dr. Sleep good?
It's a horror. Dr. Sleep's amazing. I think that's the best legacy sequel, period.
Oh, okay.
No contest. Yeah.
I heard people love that movie. I never saw The Shining.
Is it
Shining,
scary?
Right? Sequel to Shining.
It's scary. It's more dramatic than it is scary. I think you can watch the movie having never seen The Shining or having not liked The Shining.
Okay.
But for my money, that is pound for pound the best legacy sequel.
Interesting. That's also a term that's been thrown around recently, is legacy sequel. Because like Blade Runner 2049 or whatever is a legacy sequel. Terminator 2, not a legacy sequel. Right?
Yeah, just a sequel.
It's just a sequel. Like there's a different, like a legacy sequel. Yeah. Legacy
It's
sequels are also
more than 10 years.
Well, it's also it's all about the next generation, right? Like legacy sequels.
I would have to imagine it's not as hard rules as much as it is. It's a legacy sequel because it feels like a legacy sequel because it's just disconnected from.
I mean, look at Jurassic World.
Original run.
Jurassic World is a legacy sequel, and a lot of the times, and it doesn't always end up this way, but a legacy sequel is also a franchise reboot, not a continuity reboot, but a franchise reboot.
I would call Dominion more of a legacy sequel and Jurassic World a soft reboot. Like Jurassic World's a soft reboot, kind of like.
I don't like the idea of soft reboot. Soft reboot sounds like a continuity-based reboot as opposed to a franchise reboot where you're reinvigorating a franchise.
Whatever
soft
Jurassic
reboot,
World
Superman
is,
Returns, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. Jurassic World, I would say whatever Jurassic World is, that's what Force Awakens is.
Mm-hmm.
So if
that's
you
a
would call
legacy
Force Awakens,
sequel.
If it's a legacy sequel, then there you go.
I would say.
Then there you go.
Because
Scream 4.
Scream 4 is definitely a legacy sequel because that whole idea is handing it off to the next no Scream 4 is not,
and Scream 5 too.
Scream 5 is a super legacy sequel because they actually handed off to the generation.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Scream 4.
Yeah.
But Let's see what Terminator Salvation. Not Jenny Smith
was trying.
Well, even Terminator 3 was like what 15 years after Terminator 2.
I don't consider that. I consider that a straight sequel.
Yeah, that feels like it's just a sequel, just a continuation.
Because it's John Connor grown up. Like
it's not. And they're not playing at handing it off to a different Terminator. Like in Genesis and even in like 3, it's in
Dark
all of
Fate,
these.
I think is more of a legacy sequel.
Well, 3
That's
didn't
what I
have
meant.
Linda Hamilton.
Did I say Salvation? I meant Dark Fate. Dark Fate's the legacy sequel. Yeah, because you've got a brand new Terminator and a brand new girl that's trying to be saved.
And a brand new good Terminator.
Yeah, it's no longer the story of John Connor. It's now the story of this other family. Yeah. And like that similar thing with Star Wars. It's like we're moving on to Rey, or Scream, we're moving on to this other Scream Queen. Right. Or Ghostbusters Afterlife, we're moving on to a new family. Yeah.
Again, I think a lot of focus of a legacy sequel, and it doesn't always have to be this way, is the next generation.
Yeah, it's not about the same story as the movies before. It's the same world. It's the same themes. It's someone else's story.
Right.
Okay.
But it's getting handed off by the old.
But not like a spin-off. Like it is kind of a spin-off, but what I mean is like Ryan Reynolds is a different generation than Harrison Ford. It's kind of time has passed. It's moving forward with a new generation of.
That's.
What movie is this?
Blade Runner.
It's just theoretical.
Ryan
Reynolds. Ryan Gosling.
Oh, sorry. I meant
that's
Ryan
a very
Gosling.
different movie, man.
You're right. You're right.
I would watch that. I'm now hoping that Ryan Reynolds is in Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Like, is there something I don't know? Maybe Chris Pratt for Ryan Johnson, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I don't think I want Chris Pratt in that role because I don't think he'll be.
I'm not saying I want either.
Oh yeah, I want funny Chris Pratt though, and I think Chris Pratt when he's like, "I'm serious, save the day," Chris Pratt. I don't believe it. I'm like, you are giving me Lifetime movie vibes. Yeah. But when he's funny, when he's charismatic, when he's got a smile on his face, I believe it.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Shia LaBeouf went from comedy to drama. I want Shia LaBeouf was so good comedically. Like he could have been the next big.
I liked him in Fury though. He was good in Fury. Did you see him in that movie?
Oh,
the tank movie, the World War II movie.
He's very much a character in Fury. Like that's some character.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
He's a great actor. I miss his comedy because his comedy was endearing.
Holes Remains, one of the greatest book adaptations ever made.
I need to rewatch it.
I feel like we're getting a little off topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk about kind of the end of Dominion, and how it's kind of all wrapping up. We have the Giganotosaurus, who you're right, doesn't kill anyone. We have DeWanda Wise, who I'm surprised with. Like, I liked her a lot. I liked her character.
Yeah.
I liked how she was reluctant. Also, she's super hot, and I want to see more of her.
Absolutely.
Was I telling Matt every couple minutes? Is that what I was doing in the movie? I told you a couple of times.
Come on,
I was like, yeah.
You're not a creeper, man. You're all good.
No, I wasn't saying creepy. That was just, she was super hot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How'd you guys feel about the end? Matt, you got thoughts about the ending?
I mean, it kind of played out mostly what I kind of would have expected it to play out.
Yeah.
I think it's what he deserves. Most, if not all. And in this case, all.
Dies in a
Although,
great way.
We saw a Q&A before the movie started, and Colin Trevorrow kind of spoiled the end of the movie. But
because he says the Q&A, he was like everybody leaves, right?
He's like, at the end of the movie, this is the very last end of the movie, everyone's in a helicopter. It's the whole cast. The whole cast. Everybody survives.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it was kind of expected.
Yeah.
It's pretty generic ending.
Right.
Yeah. I echo that sentiment.
Do you guys like the T-Rex versus Giganotosaurus versus Therazinosaurus battle?
It's
what
fine.
Was the point?
I think it was just Godzilla versus Kong. That's it. And they or to do what they did with the Indominus Rex in Jurassic World. They just wanted a dino fight.
I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, but did somebody get like one of the dinosaurs have like fire in their mouth, almost like it was like Godzilla?
Oh no!
Ian Malcolm throws the stick into the Giganotosaurus.
And it went, yeah. Okay, that was a different scene.
Yeah, that was earlier. The fire locusts were kind of cool. It was just a cool visual thing. I thought it was gonna.
How long do locusts live while they're on fire?
They looked like they had thick exoskeletons.
I thought that was the movie has a lot of really neat visuals. Like I don't have almost any critiques of the visual ideas in this movie. I'm like, okay, that was a neat sequence. That was a cool design.
Quetzalcoatlus taking down the craft.
Oh, Claire and Ellie Styler walking in the draped in red light. That was cool too.
What was that?
A lot of really cool things. When the power was out and they were going to reset the power.
Oh, yeah.
Which again harkened back to the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
But there were no raptors in that.
The locusts came and attacked them.
Oh yeah.
It's the Day of the Locusts.
Huh. At least in Jurassic World, it's the Indominus Rex just wrecking everything because he's a force of nature and a abomination. And then Claire releases the T-Rex to fight him. Blue is smart enough. Blue then fights him. And then he gets too close to the Mosasaurus pen, and the Mosasaurus eats him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But in this, they're running to the helicopter. The Giganotosaurus comes in. The T-Rex comes in. They have like a rivalry? Is that what we're meant to assume?
Yeah. They had said earlier in the movie that whole thing of like Dodson had put two apex predators in the same valley. It won't be long before there's just one. And then we see them fight. We see them fight twice leading up to that moment. We see them fight just like over a single meal earlier when like they first arrive at the preservation. And,
really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, we see a very brief standoff like which one of us is going to eat this deer? And then later does the T-Rex show up for the T-Rex doesn't show up for the battle with the, I don't know what we want to call it, the pod, the watchtower. The T-Rex doesn't show up for the watchtower fight.
Oh, yeah. No, the T-Rex doesn't show up.
Yeah, but they have a standoff toward the very beginning.
Oh, I remember that. And then but that was what we're meant to believe, is that these two are going mano-a-mano over who's going to be the apex predator. Right. The first one, Giganotosaurus gets the T-Rex by the neck and then lets go, and the T-Rex like leaves. Yeah. Yeah. That's after the Therazinosaurus smacks the deer. That's after that spot. Yeah, because that's I think it's a Chris dead deer. Pratt. Yeah. Also I didn't buy that the T-Rex was about to eat a dead deer. That didn't seem right. Well, that's actually,
it wasn't another thing that they're like kind of scavengers. Like there's kind of a question of whether or not they're like
in real life
they were scavengers.
There's a theory that they also scavenged. Okay, didn't know that. Yeah, that's why. Like after Jurassic Park came out, like people were talking about how like T-Rex is portrayed as the ultimate predator in the movies, but in real life he might have just been a scavenger like a vulture would. You know, or it could be both. You know.
Probably it was both. Yeah.
You know?
They were also a lot slower than they're portrayed in the movies. Like the chasing the Jeep, they would have never kept up with the Jeep in the first one. And that was after that movie came out. Now they're like top speed is like 15 miles per hour or something like that.
Which is what most of us can do at the gym if we're in shape.
Is how much? 15?
50 miles an hour.
At a full sprint, maybe like in really good shape. That's like track.
I know, been saying, yeah. That's
But because 10 miles an hour is a 6-minute mile. Yeah, I'm being silly. Yeah. But then, in the end, the Therazinosaurus, why would he fight?
That again, which is why I feel like the ending is just meant to be a Godzilla versus King Kong vibes.
Yeah,
just a
versus
monster
Mothra.
mash. Yeah, it's just a monster mash.
Yeah.
I get why the Therazinosaurus and the T-Rex don't have beef. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just I think maybe we're just meant to vibe that the Giganotosaurus is a jerk. Like everybody hates the Giganotosaurus.
Yeah. And then he just gets impaled on the claws and then...
Yeah. Which is kind of cool, but...
It seemed accidental.
It was cool, but anticlimactic. It was like, oh man, those claws are sharp, but I guess it's over.
Right. And in the end, they get away, and then the lesson learned is we have to coexist.
Right.
Well,
Colin Trevorrow said it was like recent events is what inspired the story of this movie. You know, coronavirus, gun violence, learning to live together, otherwise we'll...
I hope it's not let's compromise.
Extension.
It
I don't
feels
know
like
if
a
that's...
let's compromise.
Yeah.
Thing.
What'd you say?
It feels like a little like it's a let's compromise narrative.
Right.
We have to learn to listen to each other and do both. Like that's not how things get done.
Yeah, I think coexist kind of brings that feeling forward.
In an environmental sense, it makes sense.
I think it should be more direct. Like, let's not like do anything that's gonna end civilization. Like, not necessarily compromise, but the word coexist, I think, has kind of taken on that meaning in the last few years. So
it's sort of like tolerate. It's the tolerating intolerance vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's all just learn to like accept each other's differences.
There are good people on both sides. There's the T-Rex that eat people, and there's the people that get eaten and don't want to get eaten.
And there's the people that want to weaponize the T-Rex to eat you.
Yeah. Who's really to
There's got to be a middle ground there somewhere, right?
Can some
the
people
middle
get
ground
eaten?
is being eaten. Yeah.
Yeah, can we at least have like maybe come to a compromise, less people get eaten, but we allow the people to weaponize the T-Rex.
We're going to eat the people in Colorado because they have a good fighting chance because they're in the mountains. That we consider that a competitive edge. So Colorado.
Or more like let Californians get eaten because they have less electoral college votes per capita.
There's not enough water in California anyway. Like everybody's splitting too little water between too many people.
We need Florida. Yeah. So nobody gets eaten in Florida. We need them.
Why do we need to get rid of the dinosaurs, man? Dinosaurs don't kill people. People that use dinosaurs for bad purposes kill people.
People who stand in the way of dinosaurs kill themselves.
Right. And the only way to stop a bad dinosaur is with a good dinosaur.
Good dinosaur.
Right. Actually, that's literally the end of this movie. That is the end of this movie. The only way to stop a bad dinosaur is with a good dinosaur.
That's how it works.
Or
we could punish the people who are playing God and okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I do know exactly where I want the franchise to go next, though.
You do?
Clear as crystal to me.
I have we will get to that in just a quick second. I do want to talk about something that Matthew and I had talked about previously, and I want to know your opinion, Nathan. Ramsey gets to that like room where Dodgson is like, look, I'm gonna give you a promotion. We'll rebuild this whole thing together, blah, blah, blah. Ramsey's quiet the whole time. And I expected Ramsey to pull out a gun and just murder Dodgson.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was gonna happen.
I felt a little like he was gonna be like, I'm the real villain.
And or not even a real villain point of view, but just in a like, look, you dug your own grave. You're not getting away. That
he was meant. I felt like we were meant to feel. I got that vibe too at one point. I was like, is he? Because at first I was like, oh, he came in, and this is the moment he reveals to Dodgson that he betrayed him. But then, like the longer the scene went on, it was like, is he a bad guy? Are we leading towards that reveal? And then when we saw his face just be like, no, I was like, okay, we're fine. But we see him in silhouette from the side for like a good like 2 cuts back and forth at least to build up that tension of what's about to happen.
There has to be a draft where something happens.
I think they just didn't know how to shoot that sequence, actually. I think it's that they wanted to make it a tense moment, and they instead of communicating the tension of this guy doesn't realize that he's already been beat by this good man, because I think that character was always meant to be a good man.
Yeah.
But they didn't know how to communicate that tension, so instead they accidentally communicated the tension of he's about to be betrayed. And it's like that feels very violent.
Or
so like
murdered. I thought he was just going to take out the,
Yeah, but that kind of betrayal, that dark betrayal is what it felt like it was leading towards.
I think they should have... Oh, what?
But the way Dodson was talking to him, it sounded like they were in on it together. Like that this was something they planned to do. And like, yeah, you're my equal.
Well, Dodson was just kind of sucking ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Dodson's he's just fluffing him up.
Yeah,
and
but he still spoke to him as if Ramsey was like aware of what they're doing and was like on the same team.
Ramsey would have
working toward the same.
Yeah, Ramsey was aware of enough. I'll say this as a person, I know everybody likes to call their bosses narcissists these days, but as somebody who definitely had a particularly, I won't say anything beyond this because the legals, but a particularly violent and psychotic, manipulative boss once upon a time. Those bosses think everyone else is on their side. Like the people they've put into assistant manager positions, the people they've like put as the shift lead of whatever, and put into these roles, they believe that person is an acolyte of theirs. And when they look at somebody else who's smart or strong or clever, they think, oh, you're on my side, of course, because they don't think of themselves as bad. They just know that everyone else is against them, except for the people they've secured. So it makes total sense that this lying, manipulative, also self-deluded guy is going to look at this person who he's put into a position of power, does have a high opinion of, and think, oh, of course this guy's going to be on my side. So we're going to get away, and I'm going to put you in this spot. I've practically had that conversation with a manager like that, or with a boss like that, and been like, no, you and I are not. You and I are not on the same team. So and they don't know how to comprehend that. It's like, but you're smart and I've got the power. How are we not on the same team?
Right. It would have been cool to see that scene with Ramsey putting his hand towards his waist the whole time, and then Dodgson like is doing this when he realizes he's been betrayed. He looks at where Ramsey's hand is. Ramsey pulls out his badge and like throws it. You know what I mean?
Resignation letter or something like that.
Yeah. Like, oh, Ramsey's gonna shoot him. No.
Here's my question, because I do think it has a lot to do with how the thing was shot. Do you guys think that your impression of the scene was affected by how it was lit? Because it's the office is in the dark. You have the single light source from outside. It's nighttime. Ramsey is in full, like almost completely in silhouette, except for his face, only from the reverse shots.
Yeah.
But we don't see that reverse shot. So that's all the template of, hitman come to kill mob boss. That's what we're used to seeing. How often do you see somebody quit in a darkly lit room with a fire outside? That's not your mind isn't, as a film viewer, you're not set up for that expectation. You're set up for this other one.
Right. Wahlberg, in the end of Departed, spoiler for the next 15 seconds, Wahlberg shoots Damon, right?
Right.
That's what I was expecting. A comeuppance of sorts. You put the bad guy down and you move on.
Okay.
That's what I was expecting.
And the movie did have a vibe like that at that moment. Like it felt like, okay, this is the time where he gets his somehow. Like that's what I don't think the story was leaning that way, but very much the energy of that moment felt like that's what we were saying.
Yeah. I wish that happened. But then again, we wouldn't have gotten the Dilophosaurus scene. And I did like the Dilophosaurus scene.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
I did. I thought it was a good moment.
Yeah. Also, Dimetrodons aren't that big.
Is that the one in the caves?
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked those though. They were fun. They were a fun scare.
But they weren't like, they wouldn't eat you whole. They would like bite your leg and you'd have to like, you know what I mean? Like they're not a...
Oh, that's pretty consistent with the franchise. Like Velociraptors are based off a different dinosaur.
Yeah.
Completely, right?
Velociraptors
like
are based off of
Velociraptors are little
Deinonychus.
chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if the Atrociraptors were smaller, because they were pretty much just Velociraptor size. It would have been nice if the Atrociraptors were smaller and more nimble. You could have a different kind of aesthetic to it, you know? But
I think that works.
yeah. Where do we see this going? I know Nathan said he had ideas.
Well, let me go first.
Yeah.
I'm not really looking forward to anything necessarily. I mean, not that I'm opposed to it, but if the franchise ended here, I'd be good with it.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of the same way, even as a Jurassic Park fan. I also think that they could just as easily do an HBO Max anything. They could do a series on HBO Max.
That's where I'm leaning. Because I want us to put to bed a bunch of franchises that we've had for like 60 plus years. Like I'm ready to see the licensed official end of like Batman and Superman, see those become like the Robin Hoods and the Sherlock Holmeses, you know, where pretty much anybody can pick them up. And but this is a recent enough IP still. Like the book is from the 80s, right?
Right.
That's a recent enough IP that I feel like we still have a whole lot that we can do there. So what I would love to see is, I want to see the show that is the Mandalorian to this, you know, Last Jedi, or to this, you know, sequel Star Wars trilogy. I want to see, I can't remember the name of the actress who was flying the planes.
DeWanda Wise.
I would love to see her leading a 10-episode tops HBO Max show where she is dealing with the underworld of dinosaur trading.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. Yeah. And where like maybe the entire time they're hunting down an egg, because that's a great trope. You get find this, or we're moving an egg from one place to the other, selling an egg, and then in each location that they get stopped in, a new dinosaur, a new threat, a new type of person who wants to manipulate the dinosaurs. Just a fun 10-episode arc, and only one or two dinosaurs per episode that we really have to deal with.
Right.
So this would be kind of like, maybe not so much the early season, but like how The Walking Dead kind of became like personal drama, and then every now and then, oh shit, zombies.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking much more Monster of the Week Monster of the Week meets Mandalorian. It's like Mandalorian, he's on a task, she's on a job, she's moving things from one place to the other, but there's a through line of her getting this egg to one place or the other, or maybe a family's house was destroyed by dinosaurs, but also something was stolen. So she's helping somebody get something stolen.
What's that CIA division called? They had a new name. They had a name for it in this that was specific for dinosaurs, right? It was
broad enough that it was able to count anything that was like maybe it was genetic. It was something like genetic threat or
dangerous species division,
something like that. Yeah. Something dangerous species.
Yeah. What about a whole series on that?
Yeah, that could be cool. Oh well, what if she's undercover for them? What if she's undercover for them, looking for somebody who has like stolen some kind of embryo,
right?
Or stolen some kind. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of embryo, I don't know why I cried at this part. B.D. Wong's character having a character arc.
I liked it, but I didn't believe it, but I liked it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, I felt like he was too fully evil for the last two movies for me to believe that he suddenly had his tail between his legs. Like, really, this is where he draws the line. And
I think he was tired. I don't think he wanted this environmental cataclysm, right?
Well,
and he made the locust. He made the locust.
I know. He had caused a lot of death without remorse to suddenly cause death and feel remorse. You'd think that he would be getting harder, but like I liked it. It's not that I have an issue with it. It's more like it's a very hard shift, but it's a shift I still like because the actor sells it so well.
By the way, BD Wong's a really good actor. I don't know if you've seen him in Nora from Queens.
I haven't.
He plays a macho, like not a macho, but kind of like a depressed macho dad to Awkwafina, who's like getting back into dating after the death of his like wife, but it's a comedy. And so so it's like, what if your dad was on Tinder again? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like that. He's really good in it.
That's a great pitch, and I will probably be watching that show now. I hadn't never had interest in it. Now I'm that. What if your dad was on Tinder? I'm like, that's funny. Yeah, I will watch that.
I mean, it's just one of the many plots, but yes.
Yeah, well, I didn't know much about. I only heard the title before. I didn't really know anything else. Just Awkwafina's show.
She's just okay. Classic story about an underachiever that's reached adulthood, kind of thing. Yeah. But like,
I don't watch enough TV, so I get it. It's always very hard to like pitch me on a show because I'm like, that's 7 hours of my life, man, or 24, depending on.
Watch it for BD Wong and for the grandma, if not for Awkwafina. Awkwafina's good, but like the grandma in the show is like next level, and BD Wong is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that they're going to continue a Jurassic something or another, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to let it die.
They just opened a roller coaster last year.
Yeah, they're going to keep the franchise going.
Yeah.
That being said, Universal streams on Peacock, which sucks because Peacock sucks and the streaming service needs to die.
Well, they don't exclusively stream on Peacock. They're definitely still working on figuring Peacock out, but like they also have the Camp Cretaceous thing on Netflix. Yeah. So like they double dip in both directions.
Yeah, and Jurassic World stuff is on Hulu by way of FX. But that being said, according to an article I just read, all new Universal movies will stream on Peacock.
Probably had some contracts in place to keep the stuff on.
I know Paramount is going to be doing that a lot. They're trying to get people onto Paramount Plus.
Yeah. Paramount has some good kind of stuff coming up.
Yeah. I think Paramount is low-key having a really good year right now.
They know what they're about.
Top Gun.
Well, also Sonic 2,
Star Trek,
Sonic 2, Star Trek, Scream 5, and The Lost City. All of those are good.
Transformers.
Oh yeah, Scream 5 is.
They have plans for more Transformers, more Ninja Turtles stuff. Also, Paramount has Nickelodeon. Keep that in mind.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're Viacom.
iCarly's on Paramount, right?
Halo,
the Halo show that
Halo
seems like nobody likes.
Yeah, right. I think that they're gonna shockingly definitely overtake Peacock as far as being a competitor, which they already mostly have. Yeah. I think Peacock still has more viewership because they have the free tiers.
Oh.
I would get Paramount Plus for Peacock.
Yeah. Well, I get Paramount Plus for free with T-Mobile.
Ooh.
It's the only reason I have it, but that being said, Star Trek on it.
And that's right, they have all of the original shows. I'm a huge original series fan. I always like.
Are you watching Strange New Worlds?
I haven't rewatched. So I watched a little bit of Discovery. I didn't hate it a lot of OG Star Wars fans. I just didn't like it. I never really love when Star Trek goes action-y.
Watch Strange New Worlds. You're gonna love it, Nathan.
Okay.
Like literally, once we get off of here, you gotta watch the first episode of Strange New Worlds. You'll be sold.
There's a free trial for Paramount Plus, so I might do that this week.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter.
Orville is back on Hulu.
Orville has been my favorite Star Trek thing since like Galaxy Quest is Orville.
Is it exclusively on Hulu now?
Orville is exclusively on Hulu because it used to be a Fox.
No, it's not on network television.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're out of the country, in which case it is Disney Plus Stars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Orville is on Disney Plus Stars?
Yeah, Disney Plus Star. Because I actually first ran across the international trailer for it. I didn't see the Hulu trailer, and they advertise it as Disney Plus, and then that little weird stars logo that they do.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, pretty much everything that's on Hulu here in the U.S. is on Disney Plus Stars. Like The Great with Elle Fanning, that's Disney Plus Stars.
Oh, yeah. Wait,
yeah, Deadpool.
But Nathan, you're in America.
I know. I'm saying I saw the trailer on YouTube for Disney Plus Stars. So for any viewers outside of the country, that's how they would watch Orville.
It'd be weird if suddenly I was like, Nathan, aren't you in America? And this whole time you're like, no, I live in Argentina. And it's like, what? How did I not know this?
Danish.
Yeah. Okay, I want to know your guys' rankings of the 6 movies. So where does Jurassic World Dominion take it? I still want to hear the whole thing just because I don't remember your rankings beginning. And then I want to know out of 10 what you give Jurassic World Dominion. So first your rankings. We'll go over rankings first. For me, it's going to go Jurassic Park, Lost World, again, depending on whether it's best or favorite. Then Jurassic World. Then Jurassic World Dominion, then Jurassic Park 3, then Fallen Kingdom. Middle of the road. There's still 3 other Jurassic Park movies that I like more than it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And out of 10, you rank it?
Out of 10, I think I can ethically say 7 out of 10. I don't think I can ethically go more, but I did enjoy it. So 7 out of 10. I am kind of let down a little bit because I expected it to be better. I did expect it to be better, yeah. I expected it to be at least an 8 out of 10. But I'm going to give it 7. And that leaves me a tinge of disappointment.
Okay. Who do you want to go next?
Doesn't matter, whoever's ready with their ranking.
Okay. So Jurassic Park, number 1. Jurassic World, number 2. Fallen Kingdom, number 3. Number 4, I've got The Lost World. Number 5, I got Dominion. Number 6, I got Jurassic Park 3. But take us for a grain of salt. I haven't seen Jurassic Park 3 since opening day in the movie theaters. So it's been a long time since I've seen that
You're
movie.
telling me that Jurassic Park 3, if you watched it again and you liked it, Jurassic World Dominion would be the worst?
Honestly, look, the only movie I've seen more than once in these, 2. I've only seen Jurassic Park and Lost World more than once. All the other ones I've only seen one time. And, I just don't really remember them too well. I just remember not liking Jurassic Park 3. So that's kind of why it's like in the bottom of my list. And this one, I liked the other ones. This one, I'm kind of whatever. Out of 10, I would give it a 5 out of 10, maybe 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't hate it.
No.
And it's
I didn't
kind
feel
of
like
a
it was
lesson.
a waste of time.
It's kind of a lesson on Rotten Tomatoes. Kind of remember, it's not really a quality. It's a yes or no binary thing. And I really feel that with this movie because it's like 36%. But I think that's just not that I think. It does mean that the majority of people just say it's not that great. And there are certainly worse movies that I like way less that have higher scores. So it's fine. I'm on the fence about it. I don't know if I don't like it or like it.
For the sense of Rotten Tomatoes, would you give it a fresh or rotten?
I don't know. I'm like on the fence. I would have to stick with it. I'm probably leaning toward.
That's what's weird about
fresh.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of moments that I did like, that I did think were entertaining and fun. But
I think I need to ask that, by the way. I need to ask not only your out of 10, but just on a simple binary, fresh or rotten. Because I feel like that matters now. Especially for Rotten
I think that influences things. Because I think I would give it a rotten. But not because I think it's the worst thing ever, but because when I balance like what was there, it's like, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, but I am so distracted by these little things. I feel like, or not little things, by these big things. I feel like it could have done better. Where it's like you give a movie $200 million, it should be insulting when there isn't entertainment value there. So the fact that there's entertainment value, it's like, okay, yeah, sure, you've made 6 of these movies, you should know how to do that action.
Right.
But also, we're going on 130 years of movies in general. You should know how to write dialogue, and you should know how to cast and direct these actors things that are believable for the actors. Like, I don't think the actors did a bad job. I thought that the actors were playing moments that didn't feel authentic or real based on what the script was giving them.
Right.
And it's like that's a really hard thing to forgive when you think about that good movies have been made for over 100 years. It's like that we've only gotten 6 dinosaur movies like this. It's impressive and cool that you're making dinosaur movies, but get the dialogue right along the way. Like, so I think I give it a 6. I give it a 6 out of 10, but that 6 is only there because of how much I liked all of the dinosaur stuff. If I took this movie just on the character moments, I'd give it a 4 out of 10. It's like I really loved the Ramsey character. I loved some bits and pieces here. I loved Wu getting a or I loved what's the name of the doctor? No, the doctor, like his actual. I'm now suddenly blanking on him.
The character?
Yeah, the character.
The character is Dr. Wu. The actor's B.D. Wong.
I know. I got confused when I was like, is his name Dr. Wu? Okay. Yeah, I really loved seeing that character because I've been enjoying him in Camp Cretaceous. I liked seeing him have this full arc. So those are the only highlights for me on a character story level. And like, I love the theme park elements of this, but as a movie, it gives me very little. I would rank this Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. I'm going to give Lost World the edge because even though I think there's a lot of mess in that movie, the writing makes sense. Every actor is cast correctly. The pacing is off in that movie, but it makes sense when they're trying to go from point A to point B, why they're going and when and where. Then I would put this because the dinosaur stuff. I think the dinosaur bits in this is probably the third best of all of the dinosaur things. Like, I put it immediately under Lost World just for the dinosaur stuff, or immediately under Jurassic World just for dinosaur stuff. And then after that, I would go Jurassic Park 3 because, again, the story makes sense, and that's a positive. And then I put Fallen Kingdom last.
Your list is very similar to my list then, right?
Yeah, I think, well, hold on. So Jurassic Park, Lost World, or Jurassic World, then Lost World at number 3.
That's
and
my
then and then
that's
Dominion, Jurassic Park 3, and then Fallen Kingdom last.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my switch.
We switched our 2 and our 2 and our 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. All right. This will be a movie I will see again. Hopefully it's still in theaters when my dad comes back in a couple months, but it might not be. So I might just have to either go to like a $5 theater to see it with him. But my dad's out of town for a couple months. So normally I see all my Jurassic Park stuff with him. And like, I think that there are demographics that are just going to love this no matter what. And my dad, I think, will love this movie no matter what.
Yeah.
Because my dad doesn't think like analytically like we do. Like, a lot of adults don't. Even people our age, middle-aged people, older people, younger people even. There's a sect of the population that just you're watching it to watch it, right?
Yeah, I would say most, not even just a lot.
Yeah, because that's where Rotten Tomatoes kind of plays a part. A normal person goes into a movie not trying to rank it out of 10. They're like, did I enjoy it? Did I not enjoy it? That's the fresh and the rotten, right?
They were, I feel like Rotten Tomatoes served a really relevant place in the mid 2010s with the emergence of the most recent wave of indie films, and with a lot of studio burnout that we were experiencing in the early 2010s. And so Rotten Tomatoes showed up as this, hey, this franchise movie, it's good. Hey, this indie film you should give your time to. But honestly, in general, movies are doing pretty well right now, and we've had a lot of really good franchises, and we've reinvigorated the fan bases for a lot of things. So now telling the audience whether or not something is worth seeing isn't necessary anymore, because that's really what it was about. It was like, hey, this is a fresh experience, you're going to feel like it's something new and something worth going to, or rotten experience, most people are saying it's not really worth your money. But yeah, I don't think I think that the relationship with movies that the audience has with movies right now, the audience, I'm not going to say they don't need critics, but they don't need to look for that. They don't need that stamp of approval to tell them to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for a little while, there was a huge deal. I think the last movies I can think of that, like John Wick was one that Rotten Tomatoes played a real part in, like, hey, please go see this movie. You wouldn't see it otherwise, but Rotten Tomatoes is telling you to. That one got a real big push from that. And then after that, though, more and more people started going to trying things at the theater, and social media started causing more and more buzz for movies. So you don't need Rotten Tomatoes scores to recommend a movie that would fail otherwise.
I think TikTok. I think TikTok is changing the landscape of reviews.
I think the opposite of Rotten Tomatoes does still have an effect. Like, if a movie is terrible and it's like got like 20%, 15%, whatever, I think that would really kill a movie. I mean,
Morbius.
Morbius was the first one that came to mind. But, to be fair, though, a lot of people also were thinking that before the score was revealed. But
yeah,
I think the Rotten score could really hurt a movie's success more than a fresh score can help.
I think that's a good point. But I think when a movie like let's take Morbius as an example gets its Rotten score, I think that doesn't happen in isolation. Like, it's not like I would say like 6 years ago, movie gets a Rotten score on Rotten Tomato. Everybody had checked Google, saw the Rotten Tomato score, and was like, I'm not going to check it out. While now, as Dimitri was saying, you might see that Rotten Tomato score, but you're also going to see 5 TikTok posts from people you trust absolutely lambasting something. And so, again, that Rotten Tomato score isn't going to help, and it's definitely going to hurt, but it's not happening in isolation. If you never saw that Rotten Tomatoes score, you would still see the 5 TikTok people that you trust go back to back to back saying this movie was trash.
Because before TikTok, no other platform is really doing the movie reviews in that same way. Instagram, Facebook, like you're not getting the same.
YouTube, but
YouTube.
Well, YouTube, it wasn't 5. You wouldn't see 5 reviewers in a row. Like, I was huge in following people on YouTube over the last 10 years, but I would have at that time maybe Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman, and then I'd follow the Screen Junkies people. But that's still only 3 perspectives.
And it's a big investment from a viewer point of view, because you're watching a 15-minute review or whatever. And then also a normal person can't clear the bar for YouTube. It's a high jump, right? Like, but normal people do TikTok, and it's just like, I don't have the tech for it, but I got a phone.
Yeah,
these are my thoughts.
It's a lot easier to be seen by a lot of people, but over TikTok and YouTube.
Well,
TikTok has changed the game.
The algorithmic investment in YouTube is crazy, because it's not just that you don't just need the editing, you don't just need the lighting and the production value. You also need the time investment of, I'm going to upload for 3 months with 0 views before YouTube starts giving your views to people. Like, I think there's several thresholds: amount of videos uploaded, amount of views gotten, and amount of followers before you actually start being fed by the algorithm. And that's a really scary big investment.
Yeah. Shout out to YouTube for the Keeg, so if YouTube can hear us,
YouTube, thank you for the success that people experience who do believe in your app. You are a difficult nut to crack, but we appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming on this and talking Jurassic World Dominion. I think we really dissected it, because sometimes when these movies come out, I always wonder, like, are we going to be able to dissect this for 2 hours? And of course, we all are used to it, and we can do that. I think we could talk about the letter Q for 2 hours if we really wanted to,
QAnon.
You see that thing that comes out from the side? It's weird.
It's weird. It's an offshoot,
So,
Is that a spinoff?
That's what I was gonna say.
Is that, but like at the same time, like I'm thankful to have you guys on here and be able to talk with you guys.
Cool.
About
Thanks for having me.
And everything. Yeah, of course. Before we get going, I want to know where people can find you. Like Matthew, where can people find you online? What do you got coming up?
You can find me on Instagram, Matthew A. Morey. I haven't plugged my band in a while because we don't really play much. But if you're interested in listening to my stuff, you can search our most recent record, Overwhelming Odds, on like anywhere you stream music. I'm going to also be on the Obi-Wan Kenobi after show, which has got a couple more episodes left with you, Dimitri. So you'll see me there. And
2 episodes left.
That's about it.
Weird.
Jeez. Well, I mean, we had 3 episodes in the span of 5 days. So it goes by quick when that happens.
Yeah. We'll see how that turns out. But yes, Matthew is my co-host for the Obi-Wan After Show. And it's always great having you on, even like as a guest on this one, as a co-host on that one.
Yeah, it was nice. I'm heading off to go see Star Wars on the big screen in 2 minutes.
Yeah, you are.
So.
Yeah.
Nice.
Enjoy that. Nathan, where can people find you? What's your social media? All that good stuff.
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at The Favoring Wind, or Twitter, just Favoring Wind. And if you want to keep up on my writings, or if you want to read anything I have to say, you can go to thefavoringwind.com.
Awesome. What kind of things do you write?
I have been writing a ton of poetry. I have a poetry book that I personally illustrated. But right now I'm trying to get myself much more into short fictions, or even creative nonfiction. So right now on my website, if you go there, there is, you'll find a creative nonfiction about hauntings my family has experienced.
Yeah.
I'll have more short stories uploaded soon, stuff like that. But a range of stuff. I like spooky. I like Americana. So if you do too, that's what you'll find.
All right.
I mix of pop culture.
I caught my new muse, the first muse that I've had in a couple of years, because I haven't written much in the last couple of years. I caught my muse recently, but I haven't been able to work on it for a short film idea that I will hopefully. I just need like 8 hours straight. I can go to like a Starbucks. I think I can write it down, crank out a short film first draft in about 8 hours. I just need 8 straight hours. But I caught it, and I'm excited for it. But I need to ride that muse.
That's the muse is the hardest part. The muse and the momentum. I'm currently trying to find the muse trying the momentum for some fiction stuff, and then I'll be writing the screenplay for something for my wife and I to shoot sometime this summer or fall.
Oh, okay, nice. Momentum is big. That's why I'm saying like I need 8 hours, because could I write 8 1-hour chunks? Yes, but it's disjointed. It's not, you don't, like, it's that wave. You gotta like ride that wave. Speaking of which, the Mosasaurus didn't eat anyone. Speaking of waves, the Mosasaurus just eats like a thing of fish. But the Mosasaurus that I knew would have eaten that boat in half and gobbled up the remains. But all right. Anyway, you can find the Keeg on any social media app, pretty much, at the Keeg Show. Twitter, TikTok, those are our 2 big ones. But we're also on or not Twitter and TikTok, Instagram and TikTok. Those are our 2 big ones. We're also on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. If you're watching the live stream, you are watching us at volume.com/The Keeg Show. Volume is our #1 streaming platform. We're also on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show and youtube.com/The Keeg Show. So it's whether it's /The Keeg Show or at The Keeg Show, you can find us anywhere at The Keeg Show. And you can also listen to our podcast, this show with The Keeg Talks, or any of our other podcasts, whether it's our after shows or comic talk. You can find us wherever you get your podcast from: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. We are all over the place, and stay tuned for some cool upcoming stuff from the Keeg. But if you want to know our schedules, Instagram and TikTok, easiest place to keep up with the Keeg when we're not doing our podcasts. Other than that, thank you again, Matthew. Thank you again, Nathan, for coming on the show and talking Jurassic World Dominion with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. I will let you guys get going, but thank you to the audience out there for watching and or listening. Once again, I'm your host, Dimitri Pereira, and this has been the Keeg Talks Jurassic World Dominion. Take care, everybody.